Hey, is this thing on? Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? Hello? Hello? Ugh. Hope this thing is working. For extreme beard length. Am I loud enough? Am I too low? Loud and clear. All right, because like last time we got like 2 hours into this and somebody's like, oh my God, you're so low. And I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me? And this tonight is a totally new setup for me. Normally I stream through OBS, but I had a StreamYard thing going on, so I thought we'd try that out for a change just to be different. Because you know me, I like to do things that are not like routine or the same thing over and over. Said no one ever about me. How is everyone tonight? Well, goodness. All right. So supposedly this is going to work better for me to highlight chats. We will see if that actually happens. Let's see. Oh, there it works. Nice, fan. Good to see you, man. Hope you're well. Thank you for all the help as always. And we got my man Brad here, loud and clear. I like to hear that. That's good. I will remind you all if I'm low, maybe turn up your volume or just tell me and I'll turn mine up. We got volume on both ends. We can probably make this work if we have to. So, how is everyone on Saturday night on Memorial Day weekend here in the US? That's exciting, right? So, big holiday weekend here in this country. Not that I get any time off. I'm always working, but like I hope the rest of you do who are Americans. As we got here, DS. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like the show. I'm glad you like the channel. Lots of new stuff coming, man. I was just working on stuff right before we went live, like working up to the last minute before the live stream. That's just how I roll. Of course I've seen the Toxic Avenger, Chris Will. I mean, come on, man. I saw that in high school. That was like Toxic Avenger is kind of interesting because that was like one of my first not my first gore film by any stretch, but that was like one I saw in high school with friends where I really I'm like, oh God, I really love this gory stuff, man. I'm gonna need to see more of it. And Toxic Avenger was sort of a touchstone amongst my friend group in high school because you just had never really seen anything quite like Toxie and Trauma and it was just so out there and funny and gory all at the same time. So it was really really pretty cool. So yeah, definitely seen it. Love it. Thank you. Hey Chuck, greetings from Florida where it's like 1,000,000 degrees as usual. So fantastic, huh? Doing good, Brad. That's good. My pal Brandon. Hey, good to see you, man. Hope you're well. We got good. Just turned midnight and only now saying that. I always feel bad for my European viewers because we always do this at like 7 p.m. US time, and it's always like the middle of the night for everybody in Europe. And I'm like, well, it's Saturday, Sunday technically, so maybe some people can stay up. Bree, good. Got a nice walk in this afternoon. So like related to that, I have been walking a lot lately. Because I'm on a cut. I've lost like 35 pounds, I think, or 33 pounds or something. It's like the powerlifting thing. Like I'm trying to get ready to compete. I don't know if I'm actually going to compete because my knees are just in bad shape right now. But my doctor's like, oh, dude, you're a power lifter, but you're fat. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fat, but I've also picked up a car. Have you? And he hadn't. But I'm like, maybe I should like try to lose a little bit of weight. So I got a nutrition coach and things like that. And I've lost like 30 some pounds and I've still got to lose like another 30 because I was fat. I'm a fat power lifter, like we don't care. We're not bodybuilders. It's just about how much weight you can move. And if you're heavier, you move more weight. And so I've been walking a lot lately, which is cool because I kind of used to walk when I cut years ago. I had a big cut and I walked a lot and I'd kind of gotten out of the habit of doing it. And it's funny to walk here in Florida because I see at least 4 alligators every morning on my walk. So like if I ever disappear, check the lakes because a gator probably got me. But it adds a little bit of excitement to the morning walk. What we got here? Don't like to do the same thing every time. Yeah, better ask. It's funny because anybody who knows me, Joe, is like, oh my God, Bracken is the biggest creature of habit there is. That dude like lives for routines. I'm a huge fan of routines. So the more routine you give me, the happier I am. So we joke like how adventurous I am and how I like to kind of do different things all the time, which is absolutely not true. All right, what else we got here? Rob K, yeah, coming up on 80K. That's yeah, it's weird. It's funny because this month has sucked. I don't want to start us off on a downer, but man, this month's videos have been terrible, which is actually something we're going to talk about in a little bit because I have some ideas about things that I want to bounce off you guys. And I figure if you come to the live stream, you're my ride or dies, and your opinion matters to me. I just went on a rant on Twitter the other day about people giving me their opinions that I don't care about when they're jerks because I don't know who they are. But if you guys come to my live streams, you guys are okay, and I'm interested in your opinion on things. But yeah, this has been a bad month. Like it started off great because Razorback did really well, but we were still lagging from Pledge Night, and then I had my concerns about Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires just because it was such an older movie, which I've said many times don't generally do as well here on the channel for whatever reason. But I thought that one was so cool that maybe we'd win people over, which didn't really happen. It underperformed. And then this week's video, Devonsville Terror, like I had no expectations for it. I did not expect it to do particularly well, but it was one I wanted to do because, I like Donald Pleasance. What can I say? And that one is just got no push from YouTube. Like it came out of the gate slow, and they're just like, yeah, screw you. This one's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's been an exciting month for as you're getting closer to 80K and like you're just watching videos like just die right out of the gate. But it's just how the game works, man. We'll have another hit, and it's when you least expect it, and we'll be good. But yeah, I would like to get back on the path to 100K. Oh my God, Donut Predator, for real? That's awful. Are you all right? Is everybody okay? Things are replaceable, but I know that still sucks. Oh man, I hope you're all right. Drop me a line if I can do anything for you. Yay, Mr. B Green. How you doing? All right, what else have we got here? So this is me just being bad at chat already. Look at this. Already bad at chat. Already way behind. Oh, Chris, buy an old truck. Ugh, dude, I am not mechanical at all. This is why I buy new cars and then like keep them for 3 years because they're like everything's covered, like the oil changes and everything. Because I can barely change a tire. Mechanical things are just not my forte. As anyone who has ever been in the studio, or ask Jay because he sees video of me in the studio getting pissed off when stuff doesn't work. So yeah, we don't let me work anything mechanical. Yo, lady voice, busy packing for vacation. That's exciting. Where are you going? Anywhere cool? Long trip, short trip? I once dreamed I was attacked by late night movie characters. I've had dreams like that. I've had the Freddy dreams, which are always freaky as a horror fan because you're like, oh my God, it's like, oh, is this really happening? Is this the movie coming to life, or did I just have a bad dream? And so there's like that first like 60 seconds when you wake up in the middle of the night after a Freddy dream where you're just like, oh my God, he's probably in the room with me and I'm probably going to die. Andreas Buckley, can I borrow country? So you guys don't know this, but Andreas and I talk a lot. Well, not a lot, but pretty regularly on through messages. And he does the best Kirk Van Houten from The Simpsons impression of doing "Can I Borrow a Feeling" I've ever heard. And it cracks me up every time. And someday I'm gonna have to work it into a video somehow because he is like has a spot on version of it, and then he'll do like the country western version. I'm really hoping someday he gives me like a rap version or a death metal version of it because that would just make my life complete. I'm retired. Dude, you're living the dream. I'm retired. It's a holiday every day. I think all the time about how I'm never going to be able to retire. So it's kind of lucky that I like doing YouTube and writing and all that because I will literally have to work till I'm dead. But I'm glad you're retired and it's a holiday every day. I'm sort of jealous of that. David, I like these live shows, but I get there's so much to talk about. Yeah, dude. You know what it is, man? I should probably do these more often than once a month, but then I think everybody would get bored of them. Like I'm not that interesting, you know. Like I have enough interesting stuff to talk about for a couple hours once a month, and so I don't know how guys who stream who stream professionally manage to fill like 5 or 6 hours every day with stuff, because like my life is so dull outside. Like I'm either working on the show, or I'm working on these other shows, or I'm lifting weights, or that's my whole life. Like one day is the same as every other. So yeah, there is a lot to talk about, but it's not that interesting for me. From me. Not from you guys. From me. Working on the stuff. No. Yeah, this stuff is one I get asked about a lot, and I'm sure we'll do it someday. I don't know, like I know people love the stuff, and I like the stuff, but I don't have the same level of love for it that I think everybody else does for some reason. And that's not to say that I don't like it. Just that I think like somebody just did a thing talking about the stuff versus the blob, and I'm like, I prefer the blob remake more than I like the stuff. Although the stuff, because the stuff is just so, it's just out there. So I kind of, it's kind of in that thing, like, I don't know, where, like how I say like Chud and Motel Hell, people really love those. And like, I went back and revisited them for the show, and they just didn't really hold up for me. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with the stuff. I may be wrong. I may still like it a lot. I don't know. But I've kind of had this just like, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to get to it. But in that same vein, I've got another Larry Cohen movie coming that's Q, the Winged Serpent, which is done. It's just sitting in the queue. It's not done. I lied. It's scripted. It's not filmed. I have like 8 videos I need to film. I have just not gotten to the point of filming a bunch of stuff yet. I'm good at writing them, and lately I have not been good at getting in here and standing at the podium and making jokes. So yeah. The beard is 1010. Thank you. The beard appreciates it. Needs a little trim. I say this every time. Yeah, I was looking. I happened to stumble upon one of my videos from like a year or two ago, like the other day, and I'm like, holy shit, man, my beard is so white now. Like my beard was so much more red, had so much more red in it like 2 years ago. Like I'm so old. Off work until Wednesday. Good Lord. I'm so jealous. Hey, Buddhist Peace Kitchen. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Brad, I was just thinking about you because I owe you an Alligator 2 video. Can I do the ruins instead? No. I think the ruins will get me copyright claim probably, but I'll probably do it anyway. I have not seen it since it first came out. I remember I liked it a lot at the time. Like I'd read the book, and I think there's a book. I'm pretty sure there's a book. And saw the movie and really, really dug the movie, but I've never seen it a second time. And not because I didn't like it, I've just never gotten back around to seeing it. Probably be a good one for the show. So, all right. Is this a no? Mary, if you've been around long enough to see the outtakes, you know how hard a time I have just recording these things. No way I'm doing one live. It's actually funny because I think all the time, like I know people would like me to do a live one, and I think about it, and I'm always like, no, I can't do it because I'm too terrible at reading and all that stuff. But I'm always thinking about things like what could we do live that would be kind of like the show. And I do have an idea that I may run by you guys later that's pretty cool, but I don't know if we'll do it or not. We'll have to see. But we'll have to see what you guys think of it. Kelly, thank you. Yeah, new stuff. So that's funny because like I said, is right up until I went live, I was actually in here editing, and I don't generally edit anymore. Jay does all the Sick Flicks editing, but we have B Movie Babylon is coming. It's very, very soon. I hope, please God, soon. And so the first episode I recorded, and it's a podcast, but it's a video podcast, so there's a video version that's going to show up on YouTube. That it's not going to be it's not going to be fancy because it's a podcast. It's meant to be listened to, so you could watch it if you wanted, but I wanted it to be even on YouTube where you could just put it on in the background and listen to me blab about weird B movies while you were doing other things, or at the gym, or driving to work, or riding the bus, or try not to get eaten by alligators on your morning walk. And so we filmed the first one. I filmed the first one, recorded it, so I have to go through, and I it's different than my Sickflix work production system, which I have down to a science, like how Sickflix works. We script it this way, I film it, we do this, we do this, we do this, it goes live, we're done. And so this is like a new thing, and that goes back to me liking routines and not liking things that break routines. So this was a break from routine for me. And part of the sort of goal of B Movie Babylon was for me to be able to create a show where I got to continue to talk about movies in an interesting way that I like and share them with you guys, but was not as complicated to put together as Sickflix, because Sickflix takes forever to make. It takes forever from the scripting standpoint, and then I film them, and then Jay edits them way faster than I do, but they take a while to make. And so we wanted to have another show, or actually two shows, which was Deep Cuts as well, where where they would be easier, and I could space them out with Sickflix type thing. We could have 2 or 3 things a week instead of just one. And so this was the first B Movie Babylon, and I will tell you, it's covering Ninja 3: The Domination, because I just wanted to talk about Ninja 3 for the longest time, and I just didn't think I could make it fit into Sickflix. It's not super gory, and it's a borderline horror movie, I guess, would be the sort of best way to describe it. But yeah, so we did that, and so I filmed it. And it was like, well, part of the way of doing this is like, I don't want to spend forever scripting it, right? I don't want to spend 12 hours scripting it like Sickflix. And but I did take a lot of notes, because I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be like a 10-minute podcast. So we have to have things to talk about. And it's just me. So normally, like when you do a show with someone else, like a podcast, you have someone someone carries some of the load with you and everything. You're not carrying it all by yourself. And I was a little bit nervous about, how am I going to fill like 30 or 40 minutes talking about a movie by myself, he says, as the guy comes here and rambles for 3 hours every month about nothing. But so I had a lot of notes, and we put the show together, and I filmed it, and I was so terrible because I didn't want it to be like a scripted thing where I was reading it off a teleprompter. I just wanted to have bullet points of what I wanted to talk about, so I didn't forget anything, and I didn't screw up any important details. Because sometimes when you just talk off the cuff, I screw things up all the time. And so it ended up the recording took 2 hours, which is way longer than it takes to record an episode of Sickflix. And it only took 2 hours, not because I had 2 hours of stuff to talk about, but because I screwed up things so much that I had to do so many takes of things that it just took 2 hours. And so now this project that was supposed to be super simple is just basically me sitting here at the desk, just like this shot here, talking about Ninja 3 with some stills and maybe some little bit of stuff from a little bit of B-roll from the film, not enough to get me in copyright claim, because that would defeat the purpose too. Has become a big production, as all my projects do. Everything starts out simple, and then it gets into be this big complicated thing. I have project creep. But so that was the first one. It's in the process. I hope to have it done. I would like to get the second or third one done too before I start posting them, but that is definitely coming. I don't know what we're doing with Deep Cuts yet, because I don't know if Jay wants to edit them or not. We haven't revisited Deep Cuts. There are 4 episodes of that done, and it's going to be so funny because by the time they come out, I'm going to be like 40 pounds lighter than when I made them, and everybody's gonna be like, dude, did he get fat again or what? Like, how old are these? But but B Movie Babylon is coming. I think that show is gonna be a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun with the first one, except for it taking 2 hours, because I sat here and had a lot of outtakes of me swearing at why I can't say the word immortal, or the name Friedland, or just lots of difficulties. But new stuff is coming. And like I said, I'm like 11 episodes of Sickflix ahead right now. Not completed, but like there's like 5 of them that are done, edited on, just waiting for release dates. And then there's like another 6 that are scripted and ready to be filmed. So they're basically done, because they're done on my end once they're filmed, because Jay does all the editing, and then it's just waiting for them to go live. Are you surprised that people consider Blade in the Dark very gory? Yes. I'm always surprised at what people find very gory. Like, you'll run into people who are like, "Oh, Hostel's the sickest thing I've ever seen," or "Friday the 13th is the sickest thing I've ever seen." And I'm not complaining. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm just like, but I don't find those movies particularly gory. So it's always funny to me when people are like, "Oh yeah, that's crazy gory." And Blade in the Dark is one. Like, there's some good stuff in Blade in the Dark, but it's not like one of the super gory Italian films of the 80s. Although I mean, I'm curious to check out the if you which brings me on to something else I want to talk about. If you didn't know, Vinegar Syndrome's halfway to Black Friday sale is going on right now. I don't work for them. I'm not getting paid to talk about them. I just talk about their movies because I think what they do is fantastic, and I'm happy to support them and promote them. And I think it's something for cult film fans like us. You should support those little companies. They're doing God's work out there, and they have Blade in the Dark 4K in the sale, and it's an extended cut that is very hard to come by. As I understand it, it's the extended cut. So there may be some more gore in there. I don't know that I've ever seen that cut. So I'm excited for it to arrive so I can check it out, even though it's not my favorite Lamberto Bava movie by any stretch, but it's sort of middle of the pack, I guess. Better than 9.5 Ninjas. What is Ninja 3? All right. See, here we are. We're like 15 minutes in, and I am like way behind on the chat. I suck at this. Ahoy from Scotland, John Smith. Well, ahoy to you from Florida. What's your thoughts on Mondo films? Oh man, dude, I love Mondo films. That was something I wrote. I actually wrote a lot about shockumentaries and things like that early in my career. It's sort of how I became internet, not famous, but quasi famous. I wrote about, like, I'd write about gore films and things like that, but the Mondo stuff, yeah, I like the classics, and I really like, but I tend to lean more away from the traditional early Mondo stuff and more into the shockumentary stuff at this point. Like, yeah, I'm just I I like shock sites and all that way too much. Although as I get older, I don't like. It's something I think that's a young man's game. The shock sites. You can only watch so many ISIS videos before you're like, this is crushing my soul. Jackass Flats. Where's that, Dave? That sounds like an exciting place. Hey, do more Giallo movies. Yeah, that's yeah. We will. This is sort of something we're gonna talk about tonight a little bit. There's a thing with the channel that is very clear to me at this point after doing this for 4 years. The stuff I love and that you love is great. It just doesn't always do the best as far as like building the channel and finding new audiences. Like, there's just something with the state of the internet where people just do not want to watch things that are 40 years old. And as wild as it is to me to think that things made in 1983 are 40 years old, that's just the truth. And so when you get into those, like, those older Giallo films, you're talking things like made in the early 70s. And whenever we do anything made earlier than like 1978, it tanks. And it's heartbreaking to me to spend the amount of time I spend making the videos and then have them come out and like hardly anyone watch them. I mean, people watch them obviously because it's not the tiniest channel, but yeah, it's just but yeah, we're doing more. Like, I'm not ever gonna be like, oh, I'm just chasing what gets an audience. That's never been the goal of the channel. I'm always going to cover what I like, and I like that stuff. But it's hard lately because there's definitely just a very clear data analysis sample there that shows you that, like, if we go too old, they just don't do well. And so it's hard to justify the time and the cost of making the videos, because it cost me money to make these, and then to have them come out and like get 15,000 views. It just kills the week. It kills the channel's momentum. It kills, like, I know YouTube will tell you like, oh, we don't weigh any video against the other, but if you have a video that comes out and doesn't do particularly well, the next week is always like, oh shit, they're gonna not show it to a bunch of people because the last one didn't do well, and it becomes sort of this weird, terrible cycle. So, but we will definitely do more of those. I have some in mind, actually. Right. Rated R. Often don't like gory movies, but I like your synopsis. Between you, Movies with Mark, and Brandon Tenold, I go, oh, well, that's awesome. Thank you. I think it's funny that your name is rated R and you don't like gory movies. Do you like the sexy rated R movies, or maybe the more action rated R movies? Not the gory ones, though. All right. Man, I see you every week and I can't even reply to you in the live streams because for some reason when I try to at you, it doesn't bring you up because of your I believe they're Cyrillic, I'm not sure. Letters in your name there. So I can never get a reply to you. So I'm glad you showed up here because I always feel bad every week because I'm like, I'm trying to reply to you and I can't, and it won't let me. So greetings from Florida. Thank you. Happy birthday. Everybody tell him happy birthday. Powerlifters cut. Normies just diet. Yeah, all lifters cut. or wrestlers. Wrestlers and powerlifters and bodybuilders. We all cut. And you know what it is? It's like it's not a diet because my cut is still like I'm still eating 3,000 calories a day and losing weight. So, like you think diet, you're like, oh, I'm going to eat a lot of chicken and I'm going to eat some broccoli. And I don't eat any of that. I eat a lot of meat, a lot of protein, but yeah, it's definitely not like a diet, Chris. Looking swell. Well, thank you. Long way to go. Long way to go. It's always funny when you start the cut because they're always like, whatever you think you need to be like 15% body fat, you got to add like 20 more pounds off to that. And that is proving very true. I really thought if I got down to like 225, I'd be in a good position. And I was 235 this morning and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, Jesus, you got to lose way more than 10 pounds, dude. So Matt, glad you caught alive, man. I'm well. How are you? Wow, 50. Bree, that's awesome. Yeah, so like my first big cut before I became a power lifter, I was just fat. I just kind of thrown in the towel at one point. I moved to California and I was basically just working from home and writing and playing video games all day and just eating everything in sight. And I hit like 294 at one point at the doctor, and I'm like, oh, screw this. I'm just gonna be 300, and I did hit 300 at one point, which was great for me as a future power lifter because I had a lot of mass, just from carrying around 300 pounds. But yeah, 50 pounds, that's great. That's a big accomplishment. All right. No, we are not watching a movie. Because, dude, if I try to stream a movie on YouTube, do you know how fast they will shut me down? That's a thing. Like we talk about this every month. Like, we probably need a Discord for that. I think if we had a Discord, we could make that happen. Maybe. So. Have you tried Total War? No. I am like the most basic dude with pre-workout. Like I just pound the C4 because it's not good and it's not it doesn't do much for me and I have to take like half a container now. But but yeah, I pre-workout is this rabbit hole that I'm like, I just don't want to, like, I get so many of them that I have used that make me all tingly and feel weird and I don't particularly care for that. So yeah, the C4 is like not very potent, but it doesn't make me like want to scratch my skin off during the workout. Like I must be very sensitive to what is it, beta alanine or whatever it is. And so yeah, so I stick with the C4. I don't, like I know a lot of power lifters who do the nose torque and all that stuff. I'm like, if I need nose torque to lift something, then I shouldn't be lifting it. Like my attitude, I'm a purist, man. I'm just going in there, anger and natural strength. Oh, dude, everyone's getting eaten by gators lately. Like there was just a guy, what, last week got his arm chewed off here. There and literally there was like a 7-foot gator in not in my backyard, but like a couple yards over yesterday. Just sitting out there like a dog. He's like on land. He's got his head up. He looked like a dog. He looked like a very big scaly dog. It's funny. So Hell Knight. Did which one did we do with Linda Blair? I think we did that one, didn't we? Or is that Hell House? All the hells run together for me. So yeah, the gators are Brandon are less terrifying. Crocs are really terrifying because they're way more aggressive than the gators are. The gators here are pretty much they're pretty much scared of people for the most part. I mean, we've got a lot of them and they do get bolder and like if people feed them, they will get to the point where they're like not afraid of people anymore. But generally speaking, they're fine. I would not go in my lake. You could not pay me enough money to get in the lake behind my house, and you could not definitely not in the evening or anything like that. But like if you're on land, you're pretty safe. There's worse stuff here. Like where I live right on a nature preserve, and so you get the gators. I've got water moccasins, which are scarier than the gators because those things will chase you. We've got rattlesnakes. We've got wild black bears. I've got wild boars, coyotes. It's like a little Australia. Everything here will kill you. All right. Shaw, Northern Ireland. That's awesome. One of my best friends is a dual citizen, and my family is actually I'm like second gen. My dad's dad actually came over from Ireland as a child. There are a lot of Brackens still in the South somewhere that I'm related to. I'd like to make it over there one of these days. So, John Doe, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was the one. Like I said, all the Hell House, Hell Knight, all that stuff runs together in my brain. Like I'm 50. Yes, Kim. Yeah, we had a bit of a tense exchange about that actually because he's a fairly fit dude, but he's like CrossFit fit and I'm like powerlifter fit, which means fat but strong. And so yeah, it was and he's like, you need to do some cardio. And I'm like, no, I don't. So we had we had some tense moments, but he got me he got me on board with it. So only horror love here. I'm not sure what that means, Mark. Does that mean you're not going to want to watch B movie Babylon? Because there's going to be some good stuff on there that isn't necessarily horror, but it's still pretty awesome. Shockwaves is one I've thought about doing 100 times. Actually, I just thought about doing it this week. I need to buy a copy. I don't know how it'll do, but it feels like I need to do it. Well, thank you, Black Forest Devil. I appreciate that. I always feel like I can't believe anybody watches these. I go back sometimes the next day and like watch them to make sure I didn't miss anything, or because I feel bad if I miss a super chat. I miss all the super chats. So I figured out how to get them, so I'm good now. But like I think last month was the first time I didn't miss a single super chat. But I always go back and watch them. I'm like, God, why does anybody watch this? You just ramble for like 2 hours. It's like ridiculous. Who wants to hear this? Thank you. Yeah, we're growing. Like this channel is like we're probably never going to be a million sub channel, 100,000 for sure. But there's I don't know other than Dead Meat. I don't know anybody who does sort of the style of MST3K riff review, and his aren't really that anymore. Who's gotten anywhere near a million? Like there's Brandon, and there's Cinema Snob, and there's me, and there's Decker, and there's Stitched Together Picks, and there are a number of us who do this, and like 300,000 is about the top end for what you're probably going to get with this type of format. So but I'm happy. Like I always said when I started, like 100K would be fantastic, and I wouldn't even know what to do with a million. Like I think it would be so big and overwhelming, and like I don't know how guys do live streams like when they have 20,000 people there when you go over on Twitch and some of those guys are streaming, and it's like, man, I get a couple hundred and I feel bad because I can't keep up with it. I can't keep up with everything. So it's yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad the channel continues to grow. I would like it to grow a little bit faster. I just feel like let's just get to 100K, and then I will be happy. I think he says, I won't be happy. Never heard of Pledge Night. Yeah, Pledge Night was sort of under the radar because it was a very late slasher in the slasher cycle of the 80s. Actually, I don't know, like there was like discrepancy when I did it because I can't remember. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I see it in the video store all the time because I have a very distinctive cover with the hand coming out of the toilet with the banana. And like some of the stuff I saw was like, oh, it came out in 90, which lines up with my memory. But some of the stuff said it was like an 88 or 87, I forget. So I'm not entirely sure, but it did definitely kind of fly under the radar because it was late in the slasher cycle when there were still a lot of slashers around, but people kind of had slasher fatigue and we were about to that whole trend was about to die. I did too. That video, like I think that video is like good. Like, and I don't say that about all of my videos. Like there are a lot of my videos that I go back and I'm like, God, that sucks. I should have done this so much better. But that one I really like. And so it's always the ones I really like that don't do well. So like even Devonsville, I thought when I was writing Devonsville, like every video, I was convinced it was terrible and I sucked. And this was going to be the one that ended my YouTube career. But yeah, but that one was good. And so like when I like them, and we generally know they're not going to do well. Like the ones I like less always do great. Which I don't know why that is. I should just start making things I don't like, apparently. Brad, I love movies, man. So I'm primarily a horror film creator. Like my career has primarily been covering horror films and Hong Kong action and Japanese samurai movies and things like that called exploitation. But I was a film major. I have seen a lot of movies and I like a lot of stuff. So, but I don't see a lot of movies anymore. When I was a critic, I would get press invites every week and would see several movies a week before they came out. And it was cool. But there comes a point like where that the excitement of that wears off as you sit through like your third Tyler Perry movie in a year or your fourth terrible comedy or whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of glad I don't have to see everything anymore, but I love movies in general, so but not musicals. Yeah, not musicals, man. I do, Chris. Did you miss all those Linnea Quigley videos? The Tracy Lords, Alyssa Milano? Man, we had a whole run of those. Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Like that's one that I don't remember who. I had a couple people who are like, please do this movie for like 2 years. Like, just will you please do this? Someone I can't remember who. I'm terrible about that. I'm sorry. I apologize if you're watching. But yeah, it was one of those ones that like the reason I hadn't done it was because I'm like, oh shit, this is not gonna do well because it's too old. But then but I loved it when I was young, and there's very clearly John Carpenter saw that movie before he made Big Trouble. Like it's somewhere in John Carpenter's life, I guarantee he saw that movie and it had an impact on him. And it's fun. And like it's crazy and kooky, and it's just the kind of stuff I like to talk about. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have a ton of mainstream crossover appeal. So the Pumayman. Oh man, I will never pass up an opportunity to make a Puma Man joke. I can't do it. Oh, don't feel bad about that. I mean, it's nice that people come to the premieres. Like a good premiere helps, obviously. That first couple hours is important to how a video is going to do, but like it's all the way like up to 48 hours. Like if a video does well in the first 24 to 48 hours, it's generally going to be good. So you don't have to be at the premiere. So Matt, I have spent my life going through video stores and all these weird movie collections just looking for the weirdest shit. And everyone thought I was crazy and said, "Why do you watch this crap? And it's gonna rot your brain." And I'm like, who's laughing now? Huh? Uh, Zombie Lake is on the menu. I don't know when. Maybe this year. When I did Oasis of the Zombies, obviously Zombie Lake was gonna happen. I just haven't gotten to it yet. What point are you willing? Dude, I cut it last year. We cut like 8 inches off of it and nobody even noticed, which is kind of funny. Yeah, it needs a trim now, but it won't grow that long actually. It's sort of reaches a maximum length just a little bit longer than what it is now. So like it just kind of stops. Oh, it's all good, man. Glad you were here early. I appreciate it. All right, Haggy Tragger. I don't even know that, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. All right. You should be. No, I can't even play an instrument, man. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. What are they gonna want with me? Yeah, there's more cannibal stuff coming. I mean, there's obviously stuff we haven't done yet. So, the problem, the challenge with those is always, how do I do them without getting in trouble? So, we had a hard time with Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox. They've never let me monetize, which sucks because that thing has like 500,000 views and I haven't made a penny from it. And then we had the Slave of the Cannibal God disaster where they kept saying like you can't monetize this, it's not safe for advertisers, and we couldn't figure out why because we'd been through it and I'd been very careful when I made it not to put a bunch of shit I was going to get in trouble for in there. And so what ended up happening was there's a scene late in the film where Ursula Andress is in the cave with the cannibals and there's a guy in the background in his loincloth who's holding a stick, and his stick looks like his junk kinda to a computer, I guess. So it was obviously not, it was obviously a stick, but the AI insisted it was not a stick. And so when we took that out, it was fine, but they don't tell you what the problem is. They just tell you there's a problem, and then you have to go through it like frame by frame and try to figure out what it is. So Jay figured that one out after days of poring over this video trying to figure out what it was, and sure enough, that was it. That's how dumb the system is. Oh, you're having a good time, man. Street Trash is classic. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, I'd like to. I don't have a copy. I need to get a copy. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's a good one, though. See, you're better than me. I have roadside assistance. I could lift the car and somebody else could change the tire. Hey, Taco, how you doing? I love that name. It cracks me up every time. Yeah, I'm not. So this is the funny thing about shockwaves is I'm like, YouTube is so funny about what you can even say at this point without getting demonetized. And I'm like, the joke of that video, or if I did Dead Snow, was going to be that they had to be like National Socialist zombies because otherwise they won't let me monetize the video. Oh my god, I'm so far behind on chat. Look, it's what time is it? It's 7:43. I'm reading comments from 7:10. Oh my god. King adaptations. I don't know. Well, I mean, we did Maximum Overdrive. I think we will do more. So the thing there, Rob, is like one of the episodes of Deep Cuts is about The Shining. It's done. It's just sitting in the back end of my channel, waiting for the day I decide to get a thumbnail for it and release it. So, yeah, I think we'll do more, but um, I'm not sure which ones yet. Some of them, like I think, like the ones that are the best to do for the show are obviously not the best Stephen King adaptations. Like I think the Mangler would be great for the show, or Graveyard Shift. But I'm more interested in talking about The Shining or The Dead Zone or Christine, or and someday I would like to do a deep cuts on like Rose Red, because I think Rose Red is like really interesting as like a companion piece to the Shining type thing. But I don't know when I'll get to that. I like lots of music, Jay, but it's pretty well documented that I'm a big old school golden era underground hip hop head. So yes, can I borrow a feeling as I consume your soul? Man, don't ruin my dreams, man. I want to retire someday. And maybe I'll take up day drinking. So Dead Next Door is something I wanted to cover very much because I like JR. He's a cool guy. And we did Ozone, and Ozone was fine for about a week, and then they came through and said, "Oh, sorry, this isn't fine. We're demonetizing it." And I appealed and fought them on it, and they never gave me the monetization back. And as much as I like Dead Next Door, that's a gorier film, and I'm like, Jesus, they'll never let me um make any ad revenue off that, which makes it hard to justify making the video, because it ends up costing me money to make the video, which is like the default answer to this channel at this point. Like everything's like, it'll cost me money because they won't let me do it. Which is a terrible way to run a channel, that I have to do this. But hey, thanks, Vash, I appreciate that. Extra did really well. So yeah, I suspect we might do Extra 2 at some point. I don't know when, but at some point. All right, I gotta catch up here. Yeah, I don't know where mine is, but it's just one of those ones, like I don't know how I can do it and not get age gated and in trouble. so so it makes it hard to do it when you're like, oh god, this is gonna end poorly for me. All right. I'm trying to catch up here. Not trying to skip anybody, but I'm trying to catch up. Am I having more fun? I hope so. I don't feel like I'm having any fun most days. Yes, Q is in the queue. Yeah, that one, and I have no idea how that's going to do. That could go either way. That could do really well, or it could really tank, which is super exciting. Yes, I agree, Todd. I know this is not the popular opinion, but I agree. Like I liked Chud as a kid, but I think a lot of Chud love is very nostalgia based. I think it's slow. I think there aren't enough chuds in it. It takes a long time to really get going anywhere, and the payoff is not really worth the wait. I get why but like I said, I feel the same way about Motel Hell. I think that's just one of those things, like we saw them as kids, and we saw it a bunch, and it's kind of like The Gate. Except I think The Gate is a better film that still holds up. But yeah. Well, you will see it soon. Probably, I don't know, June, July. I mean, it's not filmed, but it's soon. Oh, so yeah, or if you just sit there and watch TV with other, like people watch you watching TV. That was a big meta for a while on Twitch. Like I'm gonna watch Master Chef, and you can watch me watch Master Chef, right? Oh, we have braided it. I've never braided it like on camera or anything, but yes, we have braided it. We talked about doing like the dual Viking braids, and I've had single braids. Yeah, sometimes I get bored. So oh, that's funny. Man, I am 50. I am so old. I, I wake up every day and I'm like, how am I 50? Like I'm like 20. I feel like I'm 20. Successful. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I've had a very blessed career. Let's put it that way. Like I things tend to fall into my lap, I guess. So I'm lucky that way. Like Beat the Geeks fell into my lap. Like I was just minding my own business. Hell, and Beat the Geeks contacted me initially to ask me to come test to be on the show. Um, I I told them I told them something not nice because I thought it was one of my friends messing with me. And the lady who was the booker wrote back and said, "No, really, we're serious. This is a real thing." Because the show hadn't been out yet. Like nobody knew what it was. And so I'm like, "Oh, this is just one of my buddies yanking my chain. Like, oh, come be in this game show talking about horror movies, right? This is too good to be real." So yeah, I've had a lot of things kind of fall into my lap. Which is nice because I'm lazy and I'm not good at looking for jobs. So so all right. I miss super chats, so let me find them. Yeah, I gotta catch up here. Scroll down here because I missed a bunch of super chats. All right. Let me find them. Where are they? This interface is nice, except it's hard to find things. Charles T, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. No question, man. You can ask a question for your $5. You gotta have something you want to know. I'm an open book. All right. I know Thomas is down here somewhere. There's Thomas. Thomas, yeah. Pumpkinhead and Waxwork. Pumpkinhead for sure. Waxwork probably. I don't know when. Those are those like. So this is the other thing. Like, let's just talk about this. Let's just talk about it. So as I was saying, like the age of the movies is a bit of an issue, and not in a bad way. And I'm never gonna stop doing the stuff I want to do. The other issue sometimes is stuff that's popular does not do particularly well, and I think it's because like you guys are really smart and you're very familiar with the stuff I cover. Like you're fans of these kind of films, and so you're like, and that's cool. That's the audience I want. Um I don't want the guys who are coming to me to hear what I think about Friday the 13th. I'll tell you what I think about them, but I don't want to make videos about them because like the last thing the world needs is another guy talking about Friday the 13th, right? Like it's done to death. And so yeah, I think when we get to these popular movies, I think you guys are like, "Oh, I've seen that and I know what that's all about." And there's not like a super exciting thing there. I'm not discovering anything. Like when you cover The Gate, like everybody knows The Gate. And so you do it cuz you're like, "Oh, I hope I'm going to get some kids or someone who haven't seen The Gate to come in and be aware of The Gate, but and that you guys will come in and want to see a video about The Gate just to kind of go down memory lane and see what stupid shit I say about it." But the reality is that that doesn't really happen. The Gate didn't do particularly well, which I thought might be what would happen. So we have this thing where, like I'm trying to pick movies all the time, right? I'm always like trying to figure out what's going to do well and what I want to cover and what's good for the show and what people are going to like. And Jay and I were talking about it, and one of the things we have not done enough of is newer stuff. Not newer stuff like I don't want to cover the mainstream stuff. I don't want to cover the shit everybody's talking about necessarily, but there's a lot of newer 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s stuff that kind of flew under people's radar. And so we've kind of stayed away from them because they were a copyright headache. The newer stuff is just way more likely to get claimed, but now everything gets claimed. Like we fight copyright claims all the time, and like multiple stages of these fights. And and so there's no it used to be like if I did the older stuff and the Italian stuff, which I love, it was great because I loved it and I wasn't going to have to fight over it. Like nobody was going to claim them. And now they claim even those. And I have to tell them like, you're either going to release it or we're going to go to court. And then they release it. So my attitude now is like, well, shit, like when we do the newer stuff like The Void or Jack Brooks or things like that, they do really well. And there's a lot of people who either miss those movies because it was in the 2000s and there was so much stuff out there and everybody was kind of afraid because it looked like direct to video direct and all that. And so those have done well. So I would like to do more of that stuff. Am curious what people would want to see from the 90s and the early 2000s and things like that. So, we've done things from that era like Colobos, and that did really well. So I'm more than willing to do those things. I'm just curious if, like, does everybody here like, oh my God, I only want movies from the 80s, or I want this other stuff. But if you have recommendations, I'm open. So you can leave me a comment with them somewhere or whatever, and we'll figure them out. But you know, I think we have to, like, I have to be more willing now to do some of those things, not because there's something that I've never avoided them because I didn't want to do them. I just avoided them because they were more of a headache. And now the headache is basically the same regardless. So I'm curious if people would want more of that kind of, we tend to focus a lot of 80s stuff. And would you want 90s stuff? Would you want early 2000s stuff? Kind of off the beaten path as always, but a little bit newer. So, and I won't see your comments about that for half an hour because I'm like way behind. So but yes, Thomas, Pumpkinhead for sure. Waxwork almost definitely for sure as well. I mean, how could we not do Pumpkinhead? Because it's got Lance Henriksen in it. All right. What else do I got here? I missed a couple more. I got more super chats I got to find down here. Doug R, thank you. I like your channel a lot. I've discovered several cool movies from your reviews, and your reviews are all very entertaining. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's always the goal, man. I just want people to find cool movies. I like a lot of weird stuff, and I love to share the love of that with people who are appreciative. So yeah, it's that's always been the thing. Like we had this discussion. Someone and I had this discussion the other day, not online, but in actual real life. God, I actually talk to people in real life. That for me, like, part of the fun of doing this, I've been doing this like writing wise and all that for over 20 years now. I've only been on YouTube for 4, but like for 16 years, 17 years prior to that, I wrote about these movies for a lot of different websites, small websites, big websites, books, magazines, whoever would pay me. So, and like the coolest thing about it is like 20 years later, I still have people who come to me and said, like, I found Argento or Fulci or these cool movies because of stuff you wrote in like 2001. And I had never would have known this stuff existed if not for you. And for me, that's better than making $1 million, because I've just always wanted to be out here kind of spreading this gospel of gore and these filmmakers and these cool movies to people who would otherwise miss them. So I'm always like super touched by that. So whenever somebody comes to the show, to a video, and is like, oh, I didn't even know this existed, and now I love it and I want to go buy it and see the whole thing, that like makes my day. So thank you. I appreciate that. Killbots, you mean Chopping Mall? I do remember that. We covered it. Brandon, thanks for stopping by, man. Have a good night. I think he already left. This is what happens when you're way behind. I was browsing too. Wait, Amityville Emmanuel? Really? I don't even know about that. I did, and I have no idea why. Yeah, like, why would you do that? I have no clue why you'd do that. Like, that's a product of its time. It's a film of its era, and I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you would do that. I'm like, I saw the news and I was like, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't understand the why or how or what do you hope? So like when we saw that movie Faces of Death back in the 80s, it was like this rite of passage, right? Because you had video stores, and that kind of stuff was just not readily available. And so like even though you go and it's fake, you're in junior high, it was like, oh, you have to see this and we have to see how you react to it to know if you're cool or not. And now these kids, man, they see way worse. I mean, the internet, you can find terrible stuff on the internet with like a few keystrokes. So I'm not really sure what the allure of a Faces remake is going to be. Hey, Tom, is a big fan of old horror. Hi from non-gore horror fan. I've heard the same thing from Dead Meat, that old movies don't play well. Yeah, that's absolutely it. There's just this internet culture perception that anything that isn't, I mean, with the Zoomers, and this is not me picking on Zoomers. This is just my experience with millennials and Zoomers and those two generations, that anything like 10 years old, they think is just old and not worth seeing. And it bums me out because there's so many, like, I did Blood Feast. I had big plans to, give you like the whole history of gore cinema, the whole evolution from H.G. Lewis and Coffin Joe and forward through the 70s and stuff like that. And those movies are just, they just think they're old and they don't want to watch them. And so when you make the video, nobody watches it. And it's a bummer because like, I don't want to not make things because there's not an audience for it. Like my goal is always to make the things that are cool to me. Like I don't want this to be a job. I mean, I want it to be a job in the sense that it pays me. Like I'm paid for my time and my energy and my talent and all that, but I don't want it to be a job where it's like, oh my God, I have to go in and find the movie that's going to do the best or every week, like sometimes I'm fine with doing one that, maybe I'm not super into that I think will do well, but most of the time I want to do the stuff I like and the stuff that I want to talk about. And there's a lot of times now where I feel like, God, anything before like 1980 is a real crapshoot as far as the audience. And I know James has had the same experience because I've heard him talk about it. I've not talked to him about it, but I've heard him talk about it. And that lines up with mine 100%. So anytime, literally anything older than 1980 is risky as far as how it's going to do as far as views and all that. And anything like 70, anything from like 75 or earlier is just like, it's not going to do well. And it's just really hard to go like, I'm going to spend 40 hours on this video that 12,000 people are going to watch. And like, that's not to denigrate 12,000, as it's not like a big number, but like when you're a channel of my size and you get 12,000, that's a flop video. So yeah, it's a bummer. I hate it. I wish it wasn't that way, but I don't know how to make them more interested in that stuff. So I hope somebody figures it out though. Jack, that's a good name. The last thing I need is another channel, dude. I can't get the shows on this channel launched. So this is funny because I was talking about this the other day. I am fantastic at coming up with show ideas and concepts and all this stuff. And the problem is I just don't have time to make all this stuff. And so all the time I'm like, oh, I'd love to have other channels and things like that. But I'm like, when would I sleep? Hey, Danzig. That's a good name. How did I discover Hell Yeah Guy? Just watching Anthropophagus. I saw Anthropophagus back in the day, and that just the first time I saw it, that scene comes on, and it was so ridiculous the way he said it. It just like it stuck with me forever. And the funny thing is like it stuck with me forever. And I mean, I've known about that scene from like, I don't know, probably 1990. I think I probably saw Anthropophagus the first time in late high school or early college. And I never did anything with it. Like I would reference it in my daily life occasionally. And then we did the show and I covered it on the show and I pointed it out in the video, but I didn't really do anything with it. And then it took me like six months to a year after that to go, God, you need to be like, this needs to be like a recurring thing. Right. And so, yeah. So, but I just saw it. Like sometimes I just see things and they're like, I don't know what it is. I think it's because like as a kid, I like talk radio a lot. for some reason that I can't really explain. And radio was very big into the sound bite, the clips and things like that. And so when I got into doing this and marketing and all that, I'm like, oh, you need like branding things that are like touchstones, recurring things that give your hardcore audience that they relate to, like everybody's like Baba Booey and shit like that. And so I was like, oh, I have to find things like this for movies. And that was just like the most perfect one. That and the first time I saw Linda Day George Bastard, but that one's so obvious because it's so ridiculously over the top that you cannot not remember it. But hell yeah, it was just like a happy, like I was just sitting there watching that movie as a like a young adult, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fun. And I would rewind it and make people watch it, and like they get tired, they get sick of it. I'm glad you guys don't get sick of it because some of my friends did. It is. This is the way of the world, though. Yeah, I don't know. The everybody, it's just everything is disposable now, I guess. Culturally and artistically, like and it's funny because like being a hip hop guy, this has been the way rap music has always been. It's always been like this thing where, even when I was young and it was the golden era, you'd have an album come out and people were immediately like a week later, like, oh, that's old. When do we get the new one? And it's like, dude. And now with the whole like the internet and people doing SoundCloud mixtapes and all this stuff, it's it's just even worse. Like we don't take the time to savor anything anymore. Everything is like I must consume it. And like I'm the king of binge watching shit. I will binge watch stuff all the time, but I then like to also think about it afterwards and come back to it a year later or 2 years later or whatever. And a lot of people don't. There's just so much stuff out there to consume now and vying for your attention that people are like, why would I go back and watch something from 30 or 40 years ago? There's 8 million Netflix shows that came out this year that I haven't watched yet, because most of them suck, but sure. I love Amityville Part 2. It's I get what you're saying. I definitely get where you're coming from. But it's so sleazy and just wildly weird. I love it more than the first film. So yeah. I've thought about doing it. I don't know if I could get away with it because of the I word. But yeah. Like I think that story is way more interesting than the first film because the only thing that interests me about the first Amityville Horror is not anything that happens in the film or the book, but all the backstory about how they all scammed everybody on that house and the whole story. But the second film being more about the DeFeo murders, which were a real thing, is just way more interesting to me. So it's not a movie for the faint of heart though. New horror is interesting. There's good stuff out there. It's just hard because there's so much stuff out there that you really have to dig through a lot of crap to get to the good stuff, for sure. Corpse Beard's looking good. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I would pay to watch a channel called Antique Freak. All right, maybe. Carl, if you oh god, I'd like to see him get someone with a tuba. Well, then we have to think up a funny line for a funny catchphrase for him when he does it, like afterwards, his action movie phrase. Oh, thank you. Well, I should preface that. I hope you love your dad and like not everybody loves their dad. So if I remind you of your dad, I hope that's in a good way. But I'm assuming it is if you said it. Yeah, it's funny. I don't get it. I don't know what it is, but yeah. Skinamax movies? Is that a B movie Babylon question? Because if it is, the answer is of course. We I like to I part of the fun of coming up with that show was just there was so much shit I wanted to talk about that just didn't fit on Sick Flicks. And so I was like, oh, we should do like all these Shannon Tweed undercover cop at a strip club movies because they're hilarious. Or Gregor, the Dark brothers, Gregory Dark went mainstream and made a bunch of these movies. And like I just as a guy who literally worked in a video store and lived in a video store, basically spent all his free time combing through movies. I watched all that crap, and I have just an incredible fondness for it, even though it's terrible. Oh, whose birthday is it? Whose birthday did I miss? Rated R. Thank you. Any or both of the American Werewolf movies, please. Listening to yours and other shows gets me through the boring workday. And action and comedy. Okay, that's cool. I like a good R-rated comedy, and I definitely love the action. That's yeah, like B movie Babylon is gonna have a lot of that stuff in it. Like I said, the first episode is Ninja 3. I will even spoil the second episode is, well, I mean, I don't know if it'll be the second one that gets released, but the second one, the one I worked on, the scripted and done and ready to film, is Jim Cotta, which I have plenty of funny stories about as a kid, and how much I wanted to see Jim Cotta, and my parents wouldn't let me, and stuff like that. But yeah, so I love that, and I another one that will absolutely happen. I don't know. I might try to squeeze it into Sick Flicks. Is Charles Bronson's 10 to Midnight. God, I love that movie. And it's kind of like a slasher, so it might actually fit in Sick Flicks. But yeah, I love all that crap, man. Dave's Domain. Thank you. Love your vids, man. I watch just about all of them on my other account. I'm now subbed to you on this one. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching them. Every little bit helps, man. That keeps the algorithm happy. We all live our life as YouTube creators trying to keep the algorithm happy. Two Stroke, how you doing, man? Hope you're well. Good to see you here tonight. Who are we calling Mr. Mozzarella? I hope not me, because I'm definitely not shredded. Yeah, I'll be honest. It really doesn't bother me that much. It always sucks like that first week or two when you go through like the sugar withdrawal type thing, because I am a sugar addict. I don't do drugs. I mean, other than some edibles or something occasionally. But I don't drink very much anymore or any of that. And but I love candy. And I don't like chocolate particularly. I mean, I like the pure sugar candy. Like I will eat Nerds like there's no tomorrow. And so always giving that stuff up, that first week or two, 10 days in, when the sugar crash hits and you've worn off all your sugar stores, and you're just miserable, that sucks. But the rest of the time it's pretty okay. So I was talking to my coach today, and I'm like, oh, this is fine. I'm fine. I got eaten plenty. You're gonna let me eat more? Oh, great. but I'm fine. Yeah, superstar Billy Graham. That broke my heart, man. As you know, I do like the old pro wrestling, and being in Florida, not from Florida, but in Florida in the 80s, I was the world's biggest Kevin Sullivan mark. Just absolutely the biggest Kevin Sullivan mark who ever lived. His whole crazy Satanist thing just was like the greatest thing to me as a kid. I just love that gimmick so much. And when he brought superstar Billy Graham here, and Billy Graham's out, like they filmed him out on the beach, and they're tying him up like he's crawling through the desert and shit. And Billy Graham was so great on the mic, man. He was just one of the masters at cutting a promo. And that shit was so good. And like that, this is why I can't watch modern pro wrestling, because like nobody is as good on the mic as like Billy Graham was back in his prime, and Dusty and all those guys, Ric Flair. And so yeah, I was absolutely heartbroken when I heard he'd passed. Like I saw him and Sullivan tag team like at the what was the old Tampa Wrestling Center. I can't even remember what it was. I was thinking of the Cow Palace, but that was San Francisco. But whatever it was down there in Tampa, that we used to go see championship wrestling from Florida tapings all the time as a kid, and I used to see him all the time, and he was just one of my favorites. But Sullivan was my absolute favorite. So God, that was the best time, man. My parents used to get so mad at me because we'd go out on Saturday and I'd be like, we need to be home at 7 because championship wrestling from Florida's on. And my parents hated pro wrestling. Like they did not understand my love of pro wrestling at all. They don't understand my love of horror movies either, really. But yeah. But I'd be like, and then I'd be like, well, if we're not going to be home, can we go have dinner and then at a restaurant, and then can we go to the mall so I can stand in Montgomery Wards and watch their TVs in the TV section so I can watch wrestling? It's hard to believe I didn't date a lot in junior high, right? That is phenomenal. How much does he weigh? I have not squatted 590. I've topped out. I hit 560 like 2 years ago. My goal was 600 this year, but my knees are just like not happy right now, and I don't know that I'm going to get it. That's a great lift though. Tell him I said congrats on that. All right, what am I missing here? Yeah, they do. Honestly, most movement sucks when you're over 260. And I was just there. And you don't really realize it till you lose the weight. And then you're like, oh my God, I was like, how was I this heavy? Hey, the shape. Thank you. Just found your channel not too long ago. Been watching you, sir. Great content. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you found me. Proves the algorithm occasionally works. Oh, nobody tells me any good secrets, man, because I can't keep my mouth shut. Twitch is weird, man. So this actually brings up an interesting point. I've dabbled over on Twitch, and I have really thought about like doing more over there, not because I'm particularly in love with the platform, but because I always worry that YouTube is going to have enough of my shit someday and be like, "Oh, you're just done. We're just done with you, and you're banned." And so I'm like, "Oh God, I need to have a second platform in case that happens, right?" And the thing was I go over there and I do stream some. I very rarely stream over there, every once in a while, but I go over there and I watch a lot of stuff, and because it's like not all gaming anymore. It's like, talk shows. And like you said, people get away with streaming a lot of crazy shit over there. So I do think like, I don't know that I'd get away with movies, but I do see people get away with a lot of stuff over there, which is very appealing to me for the live streams, because I'm like, we could maybe get away with some stuff on Twitch at least for now. Eventually those guys figure it out and they start copyright strike and everything. But like a lot of times it seems like they let it go through while it's live, and then when it's the video on demand afterwards, they copyright claim all the stuff. So that's like I'm not an affiliate or a partner over there, but they have a thing where you can kind of jump the line to partner if you have a big enough following on another platform. And I don't know if 80,000 is big enough on YouTube to get them to let me jump to partner and skip all the grind or not, but I might find out. Because I would really like to do movie nights with you guys, that was my thing. So hey, let's just talk about that now too. While we're here, this is a good time to talk about it. I was talking earlier about things that we could do while we were watching live, because I cannot riff a movie live. There's just no way. I'd botch that so badly that no one would watch it. But one of the things we had talked about when we were talking about new shows for the channel, aside from B Movie Babylon, was I have a show we wanted to do called B Movie Bingo. And so I have an entire list of B movie tropes, from horror movies, action movies, things like that. And then every movie we would make a bingo card, and we will watch the movie and we will play bingo, and I will call out all the things that happen in the movie that are on the bingo card. Which is really, I don't know if people like that or not, but it's funny to me. Like, because I put a lot of work into the things that are on the card. They're not just like the obvious shit. There's like really funny, I think everybody who's seen the list thinks it's hilarious. So, but that's something I would do if people were interested. So you guys will have to tell me if you're interested though. And again, I don't even have time. Yeah. So the problem with the Prime Watch Party is that if you're in America, it's great. If you're in another country, you don't necessarily have access to the same streaming movies for Prime watches that we do in America. And I hate the idea of locking people out because they don't have the movie on streaming where they live. I had a company approach me last year about doing that very thing. It wasn't through Amazon. They had a different service, and they really were like, they gave me the big sell, and it was cool. And then we got to the part where that was the hang up of it, was that, you know, if you're not in the same country and they don't offer that on Amazon or whatever streaming service where you live, you couldn't come to the event. And I just didn't want to exclude people like that. So just hey, Gangster Ghost. I get that, and I don't know where it comes from. I I get Carrie King, I get that one. I get Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I get that one. I love Jack Black. I'm not. I even get when people are like, "Oh, you look like Brian Posen." I get that. I don't see the Jack Black. I love Jack Black. I'm not offended by it. I don't think I look like Jack Black. How long has that glorious beard been growing? Yeah, mine has been growing for about 6 years now. Although, as I said, we took like 8 inches off of it last year. So, and it's been long for a long time. My beard grows really fast. So, and just yours is shorter, but 6 months is early. Just keep telling it nice things at night before you go to bed, encouraging it, give it a little pat. That'll help it. Maybe a little oil. You'll be good. Hi, Amanda. How are you? Lake Placid, Florida. Yeah, it's very much like that. We've had some really, man, I had some really big gators in the back. We've had some like 9-10 footers back there. So those are scary. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Gina, thank you. I appreciate that. I see your comments every week, and I am incredibly grateful that you watch and enjoy. All right. No, we're still going on about Hell Knight. That's how far behind I am. All right, I'm missing super chats. I gotta scroll down here. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back and read all these tomorrow. All right. What do we got here? Is it really? I didn't know it was banned there to begin with. It's so banning movies. The ban movie thing is so hard to keep track of because like so many movies will like claim that they're banned and they're not because it's good marketing publicity. But thoughts on bad taste. I did a whole video about it. You're welcome to go see it. I love it. So yeah, it is. That's yeah, I'm very proud of that. You know, there's a funny stat, like if you ever like break down the actual stats of YouTube, if you make it to 1,000 subs, you're in the top 10% of creators. Like 90% of people never make it to 1,000 subs. If you make it to there's like something in the US, there are like 55,000, 100,000 subscriber channels. That's it. There are like what 40 50 million channels in total. There's only like 6,600 in the US that have a million, and a lot of those are like big corporate, the NBCs and all that. So yeah, I'm super proud. Like this is not an easy platform to find success on, for sure. I mean, like I came into it a little bit cocky because I worked in marketing and I've been on TV and I've been writing about this stuff forever, and I was fairly not famous, but well-known commodity. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to show up there and I'll do my thing and it'll be great. And, we'll get to 100,000 subs in a year. And yeah. So yes, I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of what we've done in the 4 years I've been doing this. So, but I'm really more happy that just people like it. Because I'm an idiot and this is just who I am. And like the show is really just me. These shows are me doing the show is me. I mean, there's a little bit of a character to be in the Horror Geek and the voice and the delivery, but these are all jokes I make in everyday life. Like I'm just a walking dad joke at this point. So thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. Yeah, I get that. There's a, like when you get into that millions, that's such a big audience, and it's so fractured between different interest. Like some people, like I look at James at Dead Meat, he's got like 6 million, and like some of them are for one thing, and some of them hate the one thing the other people like, and it's confusing. It's tough as a creator because you're like trying to appease like this huge number of people that you don't know and don't interact with. And yeah, that's why I'm always like, when I started, I'm like, I don't know if I could handle being James. I don't know if I could handle, like, because you go like, the other thing to think about is like, okay, if you're on the internet, you are going to encounter assholes sooner or later. And when you're on YouTube, it's going to be sooner. And I'm always like, 99.9% of my audience is fantastic. Like great people, very cool, very chill, very friendly, very respectful, not crappy people. And then 0.1% just sucks. And and you go like, well, if I have 100,000 subs, 0.1% is manageable because it's a relatively small number. But when you get up to 6 million or whatever, that 0.1% still becomes like overwhelming. Like that's just a lot of crappy people to deal with. And so yeah, I kind of like that, I don't have any burning desire to have 1 million subs or 5 million subs or 10 million subs. I'm perfect. Like when I started, like I said, the goal was 100K. Like the 100K was the big number. And like I think we're gonna get there. Another year or so at the rate we're going. But yeah, but I get that. Like, and then when you go to the big creators, there's a little bit less community because there's so many people. One of the things that's cool here is like, we have 80,000, right? But like there's a group who come, a couple hundred come to every premiere, a couple hundred come to these live streams. So there's a big audience, but there's also a nice little community here still of people who come to this stuff and hang out and interact with each other and interact with me. And it's nice because I can handle interacting with 300-400 people at a time. I can't handle 3 or 4 million. So so I get that. Thank you. That was a happy accident, that one. I owe a lot of people a lot of stuff. Chaz Balin and the MST3K guys, and yeah, Joe Bob. There's nobody I won't rip off. uh, all right, what do we got? Man, we're way behind. Finally, I hate musicals, Brad. I will say the one exception is I adore the Bob Hope Bing Crosby road movies, which are musicals, but that's it. Like I like those a lot, and any other musical, nope. You want to see me bolt out of a theater? Start singing a song. Touch. I'll have to see if I can find these. I don't know that I've come across either of those in my travels. So your videos and commentary always put a smile on my face. The hell yeah bits me. Well, thank you. Hell yeah, Danny is a bigger star of the show than I am at this point. So yeah, it's funny. All right, what do I got down here? Yeah, I worked for Blockbuster for twice as a manager for like I don't know 3-4 years, and I ran movie theaters for when I was in college for longer, and so yeah, I miss the old video shops. I miss the old movie theaters with the the cranky projectors and the terrible seats and B movies and all that. So hey, well, tell your dad I said hello. I appreciate that. Look at that. Look at that. I'm bringing families together tonight. That's what I'm all about. Uh, it's so funny to me to see like how people respond to the recurring bits of the show, because like Christ I'm Old was a total accident. It was just me very early in the show making a joke I don't even remember what video it was now, but like I made a joke, a reference, and it was like something to something from like the 70s or 80s. And I was like, I got really nervous about it because like all you hear is YouTube is full of a bunch of kids, right? And I'm like, uh, and it was just a defensive thing to like go like, like I know this is old and you guys are young, and I'm going to try to not act like a boomer, even though I'm a Gen Xer. So that was a total accident that I even came to be. And then people just responded to it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we can do that every week. There's lots of things I like that are old that nobody remembers. I haven't seen that since 1996. So maybe. Brad, Kill List has been on the list for forever. That was one I was going to do way back in the early days, and then I didn't do it. And now I look at it's literally sitting in my Amazon wish list because I don't own it, but I like it, and I've definitely thought about doing it. I don't know if I can make it funny though. That's sort of the challenge. Yeah, we'll get more hopping vampires. Although I don't know how that'll do either, because yeah, I thought like Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires was going to be like a good test run for doing like Mr. Vampire or Encounters of the Spooky Kind, or some of those Hong Kong horror flicks that I like so much. And yeah, I don't know, but I want to do them, so I think we'll do them regardless. I haven't even seen Mr. Vampire in a long time, so yeah. That is weird, right? Like, yeah, Howling 2 was okay, but those Hammer flicks, that's terrible. Oh, I mean, in my personal life or for the show? Lee, in my personal life, as far as I can. I love that stuff. For the show, I would go, I would love to do more of that stuff. As long as I, can get away with it with YouTube and people want to see it. So that's really the hard. It's like, dude, this is the worst part of everything. Is like I come do these things and I feel bad because like everything's answer is predicated by, well, if YouTube would let me. And that's the worst part of the gig. Like I love doing this. I love doing the show. I would do more shows. I would crank out so much content you guys couldn't watch it all if YouTube would leave me alone and let me make what I wanted to make. But like everything now is like this process of going, how much trouble am I going to get into for doing this? Am I going to get in trouble with YouTube? Am I going to get copyright claimed on top of it? Am I going to have to fight it out with court threats? And they do their best to suck the fun out of the whole process, honestly. Not that I don't have fun anyway, but it's just a pain. Like I waste a lot of time having to figure out like how much of a headache everything's going to be, because I don't want to deal with a bunch of headaches. I just want to make my videos and entertain people as much as I can, and do this stuff. But yeah, it's just weird like how much time I have to spend thinking about nonsense. So uh, let's see here. All right, I got super chat. I'm so sorry guys, I'm behind on super chats. Let me get down here and find another one. There's no short answers with me, as you can see. Hey, thank you. I hope you like the shirt. Yeah, it's funny is like YouTube would not let me integrate the store into the channel, the merch store, which you're supposed to be able to do. And then we actually got someone at YouTube, and I'm like, why the fuck can we not put this in the channel? And they gave me some answer like, well, you have community violations and we're not going to let you have that. And I'm like, I don't have community violations. I've never had a warning, let alone a strike. And they're like, no, you have them. We just, like we're just not telling you what they are. And then today, miraculously, it showed up. So the store is actually integrated into the channel now. If you want to buy merch, you can kind of go right from the channel page or the video page. And there's some options there. There are more actually on the site. So if you want something that isn't there, you can still find it. You can still get to the site. So Hey, Amelia. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's I'm glad to hear that. Akron. Wow. Huh. Yeah, I have family south of there in East Liverpool and Wellsville and lots of family in Pittsburgh. I've been to Akron many a time. Not in a long time, but as a kid, I had an ear doctor who was in Akron, actually. How random is that? I'm glad. I like hearing that. I'm glad you shared it, and I'm glad he liked it. I feel bad if somebody shared. Like this is so funny. Like I get a little even after doing this for 4 years and being relatively successful at it, I get a little bit nervous when people are going to go check out my stuff for the first time because I'm like, oh god, they're going to think this is so dumb and they're not going to understand it and they're going to think just a friggin' idiot, right? And I am a friggin' idiot, but you know, I don't want people to think that. I don't want to confirm it for them, right? You can think it, I don't want to prove it. Uh, but so yeah, I'm always glad when people then go see it and they're like, oh, that I love it. This is so great. But yeah. Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you. All right. We gotta find the super chats. I feel terrible. I'm so far behind on those. Fortunately, I have another window that has them all. So, all right. Hey, thank you. Most disappointing horror movie I've ever seen. Mother of Tears. Uh, dude, Mother of Tears. Because you're like, I love Suspiria. I love Inferno. And then we waited what, 20 some years for this third film. And it comes out and it just sucked. I guess now if you look at it after the stuff he made after that, it sucks less, but I saw it in the theater when it came out and it was just it was crazy how disappointed I was by it. Like I walked out of the theater angry because I'm like, I have waited 20 some years for this friggin' movie and this is what I got. He got to make it and it sucks. So yeah, that would be my answer to that one. So and thank you for Inseminoid, by the way. I have to get to that one. It's on the pile. All right. Next super chat down here. Oh my goodness. I have never even seen that Gore Fiend. Is it on disc? I am intrigued. You had me at one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's like speaking my language. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it works. You know, like 98% of claims are never disputed. And so yeah, we fight them out to the bitter end. So we get to the last stage where it's like you either have to drop this or we're going to court. And it's a little bit of a scary game of chicken only because like I don't want to have to go to court. I don't want to have to spend that much money for a video that is never going to recoup that cost. But at the same time, I'm stubborn, and you're not going to push me around. So, and so many of them are absolutely scams. You know, sometimes like I'll tell you right now, we have Night of the Demons 2 is in claim dispute. And that's Paramount. And I get it. Like they're legit, right? But a lot of times it's some fly by night agency that you can't even prove that they represent the people who own the rights or that they own the rights, and it's because the YouTube doesn't punish them for the false claims and it's just free money for them. So this is why we fight them all the time. Hey Hector, how you doing, man? I drink your blood. Hippie horror movies. Like, dude, do these kids even remember hippies? I've wanted to do Rawhead. We I don't know if we ever will because like a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, they were just going around randomly striking old videos of it, and they like weren't even claiming them. They were just straight the strikes, and so yeah, I don't know. Like you can strike me, I get strikes. We fight them and we win, but I'd rather just not have to go through that. necessarily if I can avoid it. That was Millennium, which was a great show. Kind of, I mean, like, yeah, it's great. Like the Zodiac inspired episode, the Mikado is like one of my favorite weird episodes of TV in general. So no one's done Graveyard Shift at all. Oh, we might have to do that one because that's like a good one for the show. Like it's King and it's relatively known, but it's also like perfect. Like it's not very good, so it's great for the jokes. Skrillbo, how you doing, man? Greetings from Florida. Hope it's nice in the Shire tonight. Oh, thank you. Good. Cecil does great work. Like he's an OG. He's another guy who I, love his work. Uh, in fact, some of his like his Blair Witch 2 video is just fantastic. I think like that was like one of the first things of his I had recall seeing that I probably had seen stuff of his, but that was like the first thing I saw of his where I went like, who made this? This is really good, and like then knew who he was. Yeah, he's great. And I'm glad that there are a bunch of us, not a lot of us, but a bunch of us who do this because, like, does the world need another show about Marvel movies? Probably not, but can we get some people to talk about weird old movies, right? All right. We did I've done Eden Lake, so The Descent is another one that we held off on for a long time because it was Lionsgate. So Eden Lake was Lionsgate too, and that was the first one where we went to war with Lionsgate basically, and that put me off doing Lionsgate movies, dealing with them. Now I'm like, well, we'll just fight it out. But yeah, The Descent is one I don't know how to do because it's so well known and popular. So, but I might try it. That would never fly. I mean, only because that stuff is generally so like too old for YouTube. This is like when people are like, "Do Night of the Living Dead." Shit, man, nobody's gonna watch Night of the Living Dead. Not on this channel anyway. I don't know, maybe somebody else, some other channel, but yeah, they're just like, oh, that stuff, man. Especially like if it's old enough to be black and white and all that. I can't even imagine trying to do a black and white show on a movie on this channel. Like just seeing how colored, in color movies do from like the early 70s or the late 60s. And again, going back to James, I think the proof there is like he did Bucket of Blood, I know, which was Corman and Dick Miller and all that. And I know that video didn't do well, and I know he was like, oh, it's because it's old and it's black and white. So I mean, I wish that was, there's definitely stuff there I would talk about. I know it wouldn't do well. Corey, thank you. I really enjoyed getting deep into your channel. Hell yeah. Fantastic. I approve of that comment. Yeah, Mandy's one. There's quite a few, like there's Color Out of Space, and there's stuff there we could do that I would like to do. I just wanted to make sure people were kind of interested in, like some people are like, oh, I just want 80s movies, and it's like, great, I'm happy to do 80s movies, but sometimes I'm trying to just find other stuff that people are going to bring people into the fold so that we can get them into 80s movies. Oh, hang on. Is that how that works? Oh, that's how that works. Holy shit. I just figured out how to work StreamYard. I found that there's a way you can go straight to the super chats. Brian Rich, thank you. As a kid, we would talk about the scary stuff that was actually pretty tame, like Children of the Corn and where it must have been in 89, 90. Some teacher made the news by accidentally showing it to a class of second graders. Well, yeah. We never got to see anything that cool. We got to see Romeo and Juliet in high school and got the big talk about being mature during the nudity. But yeah, I wish I got to see Children of the Corn in school. Jay Jefferson, how are you doing? Found this channel a couple years ago, binge watched all the videos, best hip hop references on YouTube. Dude, I am happy to hear that. I'm glad someone appreciates that. I cannot resist working in some golden era or underground hip hop references whenever possible. There have been a lot of them. Some of them fly a little more under the radar than others. Like not as many people reacted to the MF Doom joke in Legend of the Golden Vampires as I thought they would, but I don't care. That was for me. So, and it was the same thing when I had the DOS effects one in Cannibal Apocalypse. I'm like, I don't care if nobody gets this. It makes me laugh. So, oh, dude, disinterested hand job. I hope you're well, man. I love your name. Every time makes me laugh. Uh, I think it's terrible. We went on this rant last month about shorts, and I have not changed my opinion about shorts at all. I know the popular wisdom on YouTube right now is that everybody should be making shorts, and because it's an easy way to reach a wider audience and potentially have one blow up and impact your channel. But my experience has been, and talking to other creators and guys who are do consulting type work for YouTubers, is that yes, you might make a short and it might get 10 million views and you might get a couple 100,000 subs out of it. But then when you go and try to get them to watch your actual long form content, they don't care. It's not the same relationship. They're scrolling and watching you for 20 seconds. They're not connecting with you. They're just scrolling and watching something that's there and gone in 20 seconds. And I am not interested in building that kind of relationship with viewers. I'm interested in doing long form stuff that that has some, and this is so crazy to say my show has depth to it, but that has some depth to it, or some deeper thought or something to say. I fucking hate shorts, man. Like, I just cannot stand them. And we came real close to like messing around experimenting with them, and Jay talked me out of it. And because like a couple months ago I was like, dude, if you're not doing shorts, you're missing the wagon. And I'm like, I'm not doing shorts because I don't want to do shorts. But everybody's like, you need to do shorts, you need to do shorts. And like like we had an idea for a short show, it was going to be, instead of the more it was going to be the gore, where I would just do like 40 seconds of fun facts about a gory movie type thing, which would have been cool. But like, I just didn't want to do it. I was like, why would I do this 20-second video and try to cram all this stuff in when I could just make an actual video, or I could write an actual article, or I could do an actual live stream and talk about something, or a podcast, and really get into it. Like, I know there are people who watch YouTube, and if they see like a video is an hour long or 40 minutes long, they're like running the opposite direction. That is not me. If I see a video and you give me a 10-minute video or a 40-minute video on a topic I'm interested in, I'm watching the longer one every time. Like, I'm just not, I have an attention span. It's not a goldfish one. So I don't, I don't. Shorts are the worst. Just the absolute worst. I think the whole thing is terrible. I think it's the dumbest, lowest effort stuff you can make. And that's not everybody, but like a lot of it is just crap. And then you're making it, and it's like, I got 10 million views and I made $8. So yeah, I hate it. No one is more delighted than me to see that now everyone is coming to the realization that you can't make money off shorts, and it doesn't build anything. It's like Vine. We knew this from Vine how many years ago, that this format doesn't generate income for the people who make the stuff, and it doesn't generate income for the platforms. So, plus, I hate vertical video. Like, my whole life I've been complaining about people filming shit on their cell phones in vertical mode instead of the landscape like you're supposed to. Like, I don't want to watch videos. People put up videos of people fighting and it's like vertical and half the shit's cut off, and like, it's you just sent me off on a rant. Dude, this is why I was glad when YouTube was like, well, we're doing a lot with shorts, but we're going to push podcasts a lot this year. Cause I'm like, oh yeah, I had podcasted years ago about video games. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do another podcast. I want to do more podcast shows, longer content, more laid back, just kind of, really get into a topic or a movie or whatever. And shorts is just the antithesis of everything I'm interested in as a creator. So yeah, I hate it. I can't wait for them to die, and I'm convinced they are going to die. So, Gareth, hey, what's up from Florida? Underrated hip hop artist. God, we could be here all night with that question. So you know, we we've had this discussion, sort of skirted around it. I will not turn this into the hip hop channel, I promise, but I will talk about this for a minute. For years, the argument was Black Thought from the Roots, and that was 100% accurate. Black Thought was the most underrated MC in the world. He was like the best MC that like anybody who wasn't a big hip hop head was sleeping on. That is not the case anymore. Everybody knows Black Thought. And I would have said even Doom was probably pretty slept on early on. Like I remember Doom when he was Zev Love X in KMD. And I loved him then. So, and then to see him come back with the mask and all that, the hardcore heads knew who he was and what he was about, but like the mainstream took a while to catch on to him. My pick now is always J Live, man. J Live has been around for a long time, and he's a great MC, and he can DJ, and like he just has not ever, uh, really broken into the mainstream for a guy as talented as he is. The other guy who I would put in there again that is a hip hop heads love him is Blue. Blue in Exile, man. Blue is just like a fantastic MC that once you move out of hip hop circles, nobody knows who he is. uh, and beyond that, I guess like the another guy that people sleep on that is legit, although they don't sleep on him like they used to, is Fonte from Little Brother. But I would give Big Pooh actually from Little Brother the nod there. Like Pooh has been overshadowed by Fonte like for his whole career, like because Fonte is so phenomenal that you're like, oh, who's this other guy? Like, and yet when you go listen to Pooh by himself, that guy's dope. So those are just off the top of my head. Like if I sat here and really thought about it, we'd probably come up with some more. And those are some fairly obvious choices. But I hope those were satisfactory. Those would be my picks, just quick, not to turn this into the hip hop stream. Hey, Bill, thank you. I haven't been to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal in a long time. We went to LiveSCREAM at Busch Gardens in Tampa. God, that's probably been 10 years ago. And that's the last time I've been. Not because I don't like to go. We just never make it happen. I guess it's like, if you live near the Golden Gate Bridge, you never actually go across the Golden Gate Bridge or go to Alcatraz because you live in the place where it is. So yeah, that's kind of it with me and the horror nights. So I would like to start going again though. I think they're fun. YouTube. Well, YouTube me. YouTube me. Okay, I can't read. Thank you. Late to the game. Shut up and take my money. Well, I will not shut up, but I will take your money. Thank you. I appreciate that. My man Matt can't make the live stream, but I'll catch it later. Hell yeah. Well, thank you, brother. And when you're catching this later, I appreciate you. That's you're here every week, man. I love you for that. CZ, thank you. $10, no question. Man, you guys always I love it. I should ask, right? Oh my god, my mouse is gonna die. Hold on one second. We gotta hook up the cord. I was not prepared to live stream tonight. I didn't charge my mouse beforehand, apparently. Let's see. Oh no, we got too much stuff plugged in. All right. I think I think the last time I charged it was last month's stream. It's like a recurring thing now. Doom Asylum rules. Yeah, hang on, let me look that up real quick. I think I know what you're talking about. I just want to be sure before I say something and be wrong. Oh yeah. That's one That's one that's been on the short list to do for a long time. I just haven't gotten to it. Uh, Honestly, I haven't seen it in a very long time. I don't remember much about it. Patrick George, just my 2 cents here. Actually, it's your $4.99, so it's your 499 cents here. Could you do a coming soon for upcoming reviews at the end of your shows? I look forward to your Prince of Darkness review. I could. The problem with doing that, not that I have any objection to doing it. I think it's a great idea. Here's the problem with doing it. Because I'm making videos like 12 videos ahead now because of all the copyright claims and the disputes and the YouTube nonsense. I'm making things and then they're sitting and then sometimes they're going out of order. So we had this funny thing like that happened with Devonsville Terror where I made that video relatively recently and Donald Pleasance is in it. And usually when I do a video and somebody's in it who's on the show a lot, I'm like, oh, and here's so and so again. We last saw him in blah. And with Donald Pleasance, I had done a previous video where he was in the movie and it was and and I was going to release it and then we sat on it and it had a dispute and so Devonsville actually ended up coming out first, so we had to go back and switch that. So and it's the sort of the same thing where if I go like, oh, coming next week or coming this month is this, uh it doesn't always work out that it happens, and I don't want to tell you something's coming and then have it not appear. So it's like the same thing like we're going through now, like with Night of the Demons 2. I made Night of the Demons 2 like a little while ago. It technically would have been out already except for the claim, and the claim is like they file the claim and then I have to file the dispute, and they have 30 days to either release it or take it to the next level. And normally they generally just tell you we're going to the next level like right away, but sometimes they're dicks and will drag it out the full 30 days, and which is what is happening with Night of the Demons. We're like 16 days into that and there's nothing happening. So I fully believe that it will take 30 days minimum to get that video back. And so if I go in and say like, oh, we got Night of the Demons 2 coming, in like 2 weeks, it wouldn't be here because, it's locked up in this claim. So that's the downside of me doing it. Plus, there's a little bit of me that likes to surprise people. Like it's weird. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, I like little surprises and things like that. So, I've never been like, no, I won't tell you what's coming soon. But at the same time, for a long time, I would just not say what was kind of like, I would let people wonder, like, what's going to be next. And so usually in these live streams though, you'll have a pretty good idea of what I'm working on. And if I'm working on it, like it's coming. I mean, like other than Night of the Demons 2, which was something I was actually going to talk about tonight. The stuff we've got coming up. We've got. I'll just run through it now so you'll know. Since I can't put it in a video, but you're here, I hope still. So what we've got coming up. What have I got? Oh, okay. So this week coming up, 100% for sure. It's locked in. Doesn't have a thumbnail yet, but it's uploaded. It's cleared. It should be good. Knock on wood. We have finally, at long last, one of my holy grails that I've been waiting to do forever, Enzo Castellari's The Last Shark, the greatest Italian Jaws ripoff of them all. So super excited to share that. We've got that. We have it's done, but it's not coming out till next month because it's a sponsored video. We have Bad Dreams, which will make sense when you see who the sponsor is for that video because it ties into that movie really well. So we've got that. We've got Q is in the queue as we talked about earlier. We have again some of the newer films. I did a video for, it's not filmed yet, but it's scripted, the sort of low budget 2000, I think it's 2007 or 2009, I forget. It's basically The Thing in a Supermarket, Alien Raiders by my friend Ben Rock, which I think you guys are going to dig because it's a cool little movie. what else do we have? Hang on, let me switch back here to the live. I'm gonna scroll down here so I can see how people are reacting to all these announcements. What else have we got? Oh my god, I'm so far behind. Holy shit. Oh my god. All right. See what else we got here. We've got we have Sorority House Massacre is coming. That one's scripted, not filmed. What else have I got here? Oh, we've got Wishmaster 1 is happening. We've got what else have we got? God, I should have wrote all these down. I have so many of them. Alien Raiders, Sorority House Massacre, Wishmaster. Oh, we've got the Showtime's first attempt to create a horror anthology series equal to Tales of the Crypt, a little anthology flick, John Carpenter's Body Bags, which is actually our first Carpenter flick on the channel. So yeah, we got that. I'm probably forgetting a couple others, but those are all coming. Oh, what else? We have the Donald Pleasance, the other Donald Pleasance film I was mentioning is this weird sort of slasher giallo thriller called Nothing Underneath, which is really wild. I think you guys will enjoy. And I think that's it. Like, I know there's more, but I'm forgetting. And here I brought this in to show you guys. I don't know if I don't know how we'll do it on Sick Flicks, but maybe. But I was just excited to get this because people ask about it all the time. But I picked this up. It came from Terror Vision, which is another Severin-esque Vinegar Syndrome boutique label that actually Brad Henderson, who found a lot of the stuff that Severin put out and oversaw a lot of those projects, he moved over to Terror Vision, and this was one of the first things they got, which many of you have asked about. It is Linnea Quigley's Horror Workout. It's on Blu-ray. I don't know how we can make that work on the show, but I'm game to give it a shot. So see if I can make it work. So, all right. All right. So let me see. I'm trying to scroll down here. It's down to the new stuff. All right. So I gotta jump down here. I just want to see what people are saying about the new stuff. I'm sorry. All right. Yes, Last Shark is going to be amazing to watch. It was amazing to write, let me tell you. I've been waiting for that one for forever. And I don't know why we hadn't got to it yet, but we just hadn't. And so I was excited to finally get to do it. It is not the one with Hulk Hogan. That is Cruel Jaws, but that is another great Jaws ripoff. But I've already done that one. So that one's on the channel if you want to go watch it, Lawrence. So yeah. Q, what else we got? Bad Dreams is interesting. Yeah. Last Shark is one of the funniest ripoffs ever made. Absolutely. It's easy to confuse them because they like Cruel Jaws steals a lot of stuff from Great White. So yeah. Yeah. Shorts do blow. Hello. Yeah, Wishmaster. Yeah, man, it's we got a lot of stuff kind of. And that's what I said. We were kind of Jay and I kind of talked about like, well, maybe we should do some, some of this more of this 90s stuff and early 2000s stuff and just see what people are into type thing. So yeah, Sorority House Massacre does have a few Dannies in it. Although I don't remember, because I wrote it a couple weeks ago. I don't remember if it has as many Dannies as I thought it would, but it definitely has a few. So there's definitely some of that. I hope so. I think it is. I actually watched I watched the cut of it yesterday. Jay had sent it to me, and yeah, and I laughed. So I laugh at my own shit. Yeah, dude. So it's really fun because like Wishmaster has so many cameos in it, and then Body Bags has so many cameos in it. So they're both fun. Yes, I not in a long time. I think last time I saw it was when it finally got to DVD. And I don't own a copy, so I might have to track that one down. Body Bags is really, really good. Like, you know, so it's funny because I'm talking about it in the video, and it's like I see why Showtime didn't run with it as a Tales from the Crypt competitor, because you know there are three stories in it that were the three they shot to be this show, and then they never got to be released as an actual show. It's not as polished as Tales from the Crypt. However, John Carpenter as a Crypt Keeper esque horror host is fabulous. Like he's so goofy, and it's great. And like the three episodes in the film are not as groundbreaking as the best Tales from the Crypt was, and that's okay because they're still pretty fun, and it's a good little movie. And like, you know, you go at like, okay, this one didn't come out, but it probably paved the way for Showtime to do Masters of Horror eventually. And there were some really great Masters of Horror episodes, so I can't have a problem with that. I want to be beautiful forever. Yep. You've seen Wishmaster. So yeah, there's good stuff coming, I think. I think you guys are going to like it. So uh yeah, we were just talking about Amityville 2 earlier. I love it. I have absolutely seen it many times, and it's my favorite of the Amityville films, actually. And would definitely would like to cover it. I don't know when or how I'll do it, but it's potential. So yeah, Stacy Keach trying to grow hair is hilarious. Tales from the Hood is also great. So what's interesting about Body Bags is like Jay has been like, oh, you should do one of the, you know, he's like, you should do Campfire Tales. I'm like, yeah, but it's, you know, it's we can't find it, so you know, like we can't find a good copy of it. I mean, you can find it, but like part of the issue is finding a good copy that's going to look good for the video, right? Like if you find them on like YouTube or torrent sites and shit, a lot of times they're like 360p, and the 360p, we've done videos in 360p quality where the b-roll, you know, the actual movie, and they just look bad. And so like for something, when we did it for like Night of the Demon, it was fine because that wasn't available any other way until of course they released a Blu-ray, you know, last year. Or Ebola Syndrome was the same thing. Those were the only way we could do it, was to take this sort of terrible, you know, quality copy. But I prefer not to do that because they just look so bad at like even 480. So we try to find ones that are better quality, and Campfire Tales is hard to find. But I had not done an anthology film because I thought, oh, that's going to be really hard to do because there are like multiple stories. And one of the things that makes writing sick flicks interesting is because you will find things that are like recurring jokes through the whole movie. And if the story changes three times, you're not necessarily going to have those things in your script, right? So, but Body Bags worked really well, I thought. So you know, we I think we may try to do more anthology flicks as well. So I really have wanted to do Necronomicon for a long time, which is also very hard to find. But I have a line on one, so I think we may actually do it. So but yeah, that's coming. So yes, Paul, it is. It's called. Actually, it's funny because everybody calls it the Last Shark, but I have always known it as Great White, or the Italian is like La Ultimo Squalo, which gets pointed out in the video. So yeah, so that's what's yeah, that Quigley workout is something. Yeah. Go over to TerraVision. They have it. It's I mean, dude, I was like so excited. You know, when I saw they were doing it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like, you know, destiny." uh, hey, Captain Christian Tunes, thank you. I appreciate that. Matt's Tube of You. Thank you. Love the content, Mike. Joined you on Patreon a few months back. Definitely worth the money. Any chance you review Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 at any time, or too much red tape? Uh, I don't, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to do Texas Chainsaw first, and that one has been like, you know, like well known. I don't know how it would do. I feel like it would be worth doing. However, I thought Evil Dead would also be worth doing, and that one just like that's a good video, but it just didn't click. It was too popular, I think, and I'm worried that Texas Chainsaw would be the same. And I think you could make the case for doing two, but I just feel bad if I don't do the first one. So not entirely sure on that one. Kenneth, thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Andrew, thank you for the $5. No questions. Guys gotta ask questions. Gotta ask questions. My wife is still looking for a review of Stitches. I don't even own Stitches. I'll have to see what I can do. Gareth, how you doing? Forgot, what's the origin of football practice? Oh, the most commonly asked question on this channel, other than where does that guy who says hell yeah come from? Football practice is an MST3K reference. They use it in the movie, and God, they use that. I think it's in, is it in Pod People? I think it's in Pod People. I forget. I've told this story so many times. I think I know it by heart. And it's just whenever somebody wakes up unexpectedly, and the actual origin of the gag goes back to Wes Craven's Shocker. There's a scene in Shocker where that actually happens, and so they've used it, and it's my just silly little like homage to those guys of many. I throw many homages to MST3K in because, like, look, without MST3K, I wouldn't be doing this. Like, those guys are the pioneers, and I love them to death, and I probably owe them $1 million for all the shit I've stolen from them. So. Yeah, they're the best. Those guys. Imprint, yeah, Takashi Miike, that's a good one. I liked Masters of Horror was kind of interesting. Some of it was better than others. Carpenter's Cigarette Burns is probably my favorite of all of them, and I think Jennifer and Peltz are arguably Argento's last good work. You know, not not necessarily his best work, obviously, but like they're better than the films he was making in the last couple of years. So, should I buy a DVD copy of Stage Fright or Burial Grounds on a VHS copy? You should buy both. Yeah, I love both of those movies, so you can't really go wrong with either. So, I have not watched In Search of Darkness, which is funny, because I know the guy who made it, and I actually had a very nice conversation with him a while back, and super cool, super cool. I just haven't had time to watch them. They're definitely on my list, but one of these days. What do we got here? Yeah, Dr. Giggles is on the list, especially because it just got a Blu-ray. I think though, before we get to that, I really want to do Warlock, especially with like Julian Sands probably never coming back. So have you ever seen a horrible sequel follow a great movie? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm blanking, but I'm sure. Blast Hard Cheese. Yeah. Now you got to go watch The Final Sacrifice with Rousdower. Hey, hey, Synth, how have you been? I've been doing them every month. I've been doing one a month. But usually the last Saturday of the month. Since the start of the year, I've tried to do one every month. I think I've made them all. So Reb Brown is the best. Funny, we did Robo War with Reb, and then I found out he was on Facebook, and so I'm like, I have to be Facebook friends with Reb Brown, and I sent him a friend request, and then I got no response at all for like weeks. And so we had this little thing going on Twitter where I would just update people like regularly, like it's been 18 days and Reb Brown is still not accepted my friend request on Facebook. And then he finally did. I haven't watched Dark Glasses yet. I've heard very mixed things though. I've heard some people say it's good and I've heard some people say it's not. So I just haven't sat down and watched it. Mostly because I'm just afraid I won't like it. and that always just bums me out when I don't like Argento flicks. Ichi the Killer, I did Ichi. Audition Audition's tough. One of the challenges with Audition is that it's long, and which is why we haven't done some of the Korean stuff I'd like to do, like I Saw the Devil and all that. The movies are just super long, and the subtitles make it complicated as far as scripting and editing, because we basically have to do two cuts. Like sometimes we have to do the cut where the subtitles are in, because whatever I'm making a joke about has something to do with the dialogue, and so we need people to be able to understand it. And then other times the subtitles have to come out because they're a detriment to the joke I'm trying to tell. So, and it's tougher, I think, from the viewer perspective, because it goes back and forth. So they're a little bit harder to do, the subtitle movies. I still do them, but it's always a lot more work. Braveheart. And thank you. Yeah, definitely Braveheart. This is funny because, like, I saw The Patriot when it came out and I liked it, and then I went back and revisited it. I'm like, what the fuck were you smoking? This is like not that great. So 14 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I love Warlock. Yeah, I've always loved Warlock, and I think it would make a great episode of Sick Flicks because there's like enough kooky, campy stuff in it, and Julian Sands is just basically devouring the scenery, and it's just, and I love that guy anyway. So, uh, that would just be like the perfect send off for him, I guess. So, Doctor Giggles is I didn't walk out of Doctor Giggles. But yeah, I've not seen it in a long time, and I remember it being kind of goofy, but I think it's good for the show. I think it would be fun to do on the show. I don't know that I would just sit down and watch it out of the blue, but hey, Joe. Yes, that's funny you mentioned that, because Jay and I were just talking about that the other day on Twitter. I was like, oh, he had shared some footage from it, and I was like, oh shit, we might have to play this on stream. So definitely should be a good time. Yeah, everything about Argento's Dracula makes me want to jump off a cliff. That's one, that's perfect for the show. But we've never done it because I feel like everybody has teed off on that movie, and I don't know what I would add that like Brandon or someone else hasn't already made a joke about. So it's and I don't want to just do like a rehash of what everybody else has done. So, but maybe one of these days. Yeah, Fog from the 80s, but the remake is one of the worst remakes I've ever seen. Hated it. You rate Duel. Yeah, the Spielberg. Yeah, it's classic. I saw it as a kid actually. One of the early videos has like a Duel joke and clip in it. So I have not seen Crazed. No, I don't think I have. Everyone should love Zap Rousdower. That guy's a legend. He's probably off looking for beer on the sun. Yes, he sure did. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. So they would have to be on separate from Sick Flicks. That maybe we do that on the podcast because it would be easier. Um, yeah. So this is a thing. Like, I would like to do more list videos. We've only done one, and I did it way early in the channel's first days. Like, we did the top 5 exploding heads. I say we, it was me, because it was just me. I didn't have Jay back then, or Chris. But yeah, I would like to do more lists. I always worry now that like I would be potentially splitting the channel audience by like, people come for Sick Flicks. I don't know, will the same people want to watch lists? I'm already kind of risking it by doing like B movie Babylon over here, but I don't care. Because I want to do it. So, and nobody's going to tell me I can't. So, but yeah, definitely lists have been something like I love lists anyway. I'm a obsessive list maker about things. Like I sit around and think about lists all the time. So yeah, I think that would be cool. I don't know if we how we do it, but it's maybe. Like we couldn't do anything older than 1980 though. Yeah, dude, I've heard people say that it's great, and I've had other people who I know who I trust as well who didn't like it. So obviously I'm just gonna have to sit down and watch it. Part of the problem is I just can't I just never have time to sit down and watch much of anything unless it's for the show at this point. Um, so like that has cut into my ability to keep up with new movies. Except for that stretch like a couple months ago where I saw like 3 new things and thought I was going to see all of them and then never did. So I don't know. So here's the thing, David. I am not the world's biggest anime fan. I am familiar with a fair amount, not a ton, a fair amount of anime, mostly of the tentacle variety because I like weird shit. And I'm just like to keep abreast of things that are strange and offensive. And but I am not the biggest appreciator of anime. Let's put it that way. Not because I didn't try. I went through a time in the early 2000s where I was covering a lot of Japanese cinema and things like that, and I thought like I need to understand anime. Like I need to check this stuff out. I need to be familiar with it. And so like I rented like a bunch of the classics, Vampire Hunter D and Fist of the North Star and Ninja Scroll and Blue Girl and Bible Black and all this stuff and like yeah like I thought some of it like I like Ninja Scroll. I thought Ninja Scroll was pretty cool. I liked obviously I joke about Little Blue Girl all the time, so I obviously like that and Bible Black and all that, but like most of it just did not hit with me. So I don't know, so I don't think I would be very good at doing videos about anime because I don't know enough about it or appreciate it enough, I guess. So it's not a no, but it's an unlikely. Exactly. Yeah, I don't think we'd have a terribly hard time getting it through. Like, I mean, obviously we'd have to make some cuts, but I don't know. I just think it's rougher in the sense that it's long, and so the video would end up long, and uh, you end up with just the subtitles and all that. Like, it would be a lot of work, and I just feel like, man, I don't know how it would like if people would watch it. So that's one I've always wanted to see, and I have not. So I am familiar with it, but I have not seen it. So that's one that might win me over. Oh my God, you're right, Garrett. So this is funny. Our Point is sitting on my shelf and has been for years, and I have seen it years ago. And I pick it up about once every month and go, "Is this the month we do Our Point?" And the answer is always not this month, but eventually it's going to happen. That's a great movie. So yeah, I mean, look, we can quibble about genre distinctions all day, but I think Audition falls pretty well in horror. It's more than horror, but it's like I think it definitely like the end definitely puts it in horror territory. Yeah, that's one I thought about just today when I was before I came here, and I was like, I'm going to ask what people think about doing like some more recent films. Idle Hands was one I thought about, so I haven't, and I love it. That movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. First off, because I saw it way too young, and like so many flicks, but I just remember seeing it, and like first off, my brain could not figure out how Mr. Spock was in a movie where he was a bad guy, or wasn't a good guy, and he was kind of creepy, and then the end, obviously, and then just like how the people got pawed it up was freaky, and then the end with Sutherland is his turn just scared the shit out of me as a kid. Amen. Yeah, so Phantom was like the beginning of the end for, you know, Argento and me, like him being untouchable. Like I did not care for Phantom of the Opera. Which sucks because yeah, Julian Sands is in it. It's like two things I love, and why is this not better? Yeah, what's with all the Duel questions? I like it. I'm not complaining. I'm just like surprised people are talking about Duel. I saw it as a kid. Like it was on TV. It was on TV fairly regularly. Like on, it'd be on like ABC, the ABC Sunday night movie or whatever. But it's a great movie. It's it feels like a dry run for Jaws in a lot of ways. Even though it's not on the water and it doesn't have a shark, but it's like the same sort of setup. No, I have not done that one. All right. What do I got down here? Not yet. we might have to go on a Lance Henriksen run. Yeah. Like this is funny. Like I love the fact that I come here and you guys throw out these titles, and they're always titles that I have just recently thought about, or I've thought about a bunch of times about doing, which always tells me like, oh, you're on the right path. Like this is, you guys are all on the same page. Yeah, so I do think about that one a lot just because I love Lance Henriksen, and so I think it would be good. Hey, Amy, happy Memorial Day weekend to you. Thank you, Zed. I appreciate that. I come here and you guys say such nice things to me. So much different than my real life. I don't know. Maybe. I like the weirdest thing about YouTube is like I've done this 4 years, right? I mean, 200 some videos. I worked in marketing. I'm literally a director of content strategy. I've been a director of content strategy for other places. And it's literally my job to figure out what will work on the internet, what people want to read or what they want to see or whatever. And so I generally have a pretty good handle on what would work on YouTube, what would grow a channel or what wouldn't. And the funny thing is though, is like YouTube gets to a point where your channel, your audience gets big enough that it kind of fractures. It kind of splits into little subsets a little bit. And that's like, I don't know where that happens. I don't have a number, but but definitely we're at that point where like, I have 79,000 subscribers, but I only interact with, regularly with like 500 of you. And so you guys, I have a good feel for what you're into and what you want and things like that. But there's like 78,500 other people out there who are subscribed to the channel and watch that I don't know. And everybody wants something a little bit different. But list videos are popular for sure. And I think I almost think like if I were going to do list videos, I'd do a separate channel for them and just, a horror list channel type thing. But I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I love lists, but I haven't ever figured out if it's what I need to be putting on this channel or if I need to put it somewhere else or what to do with it. But I watch a lot of them and they're terrible. Like the horror list channels, a lot of them, like they're like not people who are super knowledgeable about horror. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. I'm just saying like you watch some of these big list channels, they're just basically, Googling lists and putting them into a video. Like they're not things that, you know, they've necessarily spent a lot of time seeing and learning about or anything like that. So you can usually tell. Bright Night. Yeah. Copyright headache probably, but yeah. Yes. At some point. I don't know when, but yes, it's absolutely on the list. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The more the merrier, Amy. Yeah, you got to do the first. The remake is surprisingly decent, and I really hope that we finally get the second on Blu-ray at some point because it feels like a lost movie. Oh yeah, I saw that one too. BL. I don't think we have a wife beater. I don't think they offer it. Not that I wouldn't have it. I think they do have tank tops though. I don't know. I have to look. Yeah, it's the Dennis Weaver is driving a car and he's chased by a guy in a giant menacing truck. Oh, dude, there's no way. It's just like, how, I don't know how I would make that work. Oh, that's too funny. I struggle with that one so hard. This is why I've never done Begotten because it's like silent. Oh, for sure, for sure. The host is great. I love a ton of Korean genre flicks. You know, not just horror, but the action stuff as well. Um, the weird thing is like they just make them really long, and I appreciate that when I'm watching them. They don't feel long, but I always have to think about when I do sick flicks. I have this tendency to um make the videos like I cram so much stuff into them, and I really am not good at going back and editing out things that, you know, I probably should sometimes to just make them flow a little bit better or a little bit shorter and a little bit faster. But and so when you get to those movies that are over 2 hours, like every video I've done lately has been for a movie. I try not to do a movie that's over 100 minutes because I just know that if I do one that's 2 hours, it's going to be like a 6,000 word script. And Jay's going to be like, dude, you just sent me like a 40-minute video. And so nobody wants to watch a 40-minute video. And so, yeah, so that's like, I just can't rein myself in. Yeah, I've seen Sven Gulli. He's good. I see him on Twitter. I see people watching him on Twitter all the time. So, actually, there's a guy on Twitter that I'm friends with, Joe Blevins. They watch the show and he does like a little Twitter riff of the movies, and that dude's good. He's good. Joe, not Svengoolie. I mean, Svengoolie's good, but Joe is a good riffer. Like sometimes, like the last week, I forget what the movie was, but he had like he'll post a screenshot and then the riff, and he had like 6 in a row that made me laugh. And I'm like, dude, I do this for a living. This is good. So yeah, I might do that one. I don't know. That might turn up a B movie. You are not wrong. I sure did. Got demonetized. It's probably been 2 years. That's how fast time goes now. Feels like it was just recent, but I've heard of that one. I've never seen it. Should I? I can't. I can't get bogged down with a bunch of anime. I don't have time enough to watch horror movies. Now we're giving me an anime list. Favorite? So I like I have a lot. I was the biggest champion of zombie movies, and I often feel like at least partially responsible for the glut of zombie movies we got in the early 2000s because before that I would write reviews of, you know, the classic zombie flicks and the Italian stuff, and I would go like, we need more zombie movies. We need to bring back zombie movies. And then they came back and I'm like, okay, we need to stop making zombie movies. So, but you know, my favorites, I love the cannibal movies. I love slashers, and I like, well, when it's well done, and it's often not, but I like it. Cosmic horror stuff. I like that. So you know, anything like that is cool. And yeah, those are my big ones, I guess. It is. Yeah, so that was one I literally had that in my hands this week because I have it on the shelf, right? And when I did body bags, I'm like, oh, we need to do a Carpenter. And I almost did Prince of Darkness. And I went, no, let's do body bags. Because you know why? Because Prince of Darkness was like almost 2 hours. And I went, oh God, that's gonna be a long script. So Martin is the most underrated vampire and Romero film. It's brilliant. It's a great movie, and I'm glad that it got the big release and that people are finally getting to see it again because I've been singing its praises for forever, and it was just hard to find for a long time. So I'm super excited that you liked it and that people are finding it because it's just a phenomenal film. Phenomenal. Umbra, how you doing? Ninja Scroll, the perfect yeah. So this is right. Whoever recommended Ninja Scroll to me, I don't remember who it was because it's been 20 years at least. Uh, that was a very good suggestion. Like that was someone who knew me and understood what I was gonna like, and so that was yeah. I did like Ninja Scroll quite a bit. Like a lot of anime was a miss with me, but that one was not. So, and I think that was absolutely like if you were just coming in, that's probably a good starting point. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned Junji Ito because my daughter loves him and she talks about him all the time. So see, I'm glad I'm not alone on that. It really is. It's a vampire movie, but it's not your traditional vampire movie, and it's just it's really good. Really, really good. If you've not seen Martin, I will wholeheartedly recommend you check it out. Yeah, so funny story. Event Horizon we covered for deep cuts. It's done. It's sitting next to the Shining video in the back end of my channel, waiting for a thumbnail and for me to decide to release deep cuts. But it is done. It's not a sick flick, it's a deep cut. So, but yeah, it's a good. I like that video. I thought it came out well, but we haven't released them because, like I said, they're a lot of work to edit for Jay, and he wasn't sure he wanted to do them because they were so much work, and so we did 4 of them with the idea that we would probably just release them and see how they did, and then if they did well, we would decide like, do we want to do more? Did I need to hire another editor? Was he going to do them? How is this going to work? And or how can we streamline the process to make it easier for him? And like we did the 4 and they came out great. I think they're great. I think they're just great videos. But we've just not released them because I went like I was afraid we would release them and that they would do well, and then we'd put 4 of them out and they would do well, and then we would have no more. so so I was like kind of hoping that we would figure out a solution before we release them so that we could make like 10 of them or something and then see how they did. So that if they started doing well, we wouldn't be like back to zero because they take a while to make. And but yeah, so I just so like we were doing that and I just went and worked on the podcast instead because that was easier to kind of manage. So but like there are 4 deep cuts done and there are several more scripted that are either done being scripted or very close to being done scripted. And but I just don't know, like I don't know. We're going to have to revisit that at some point in the near future because literally the show, the B movie, the podcast is going to be, you know, ready to go, and so that's the next project after that. But I don't know what we'll do with it yet. But you'll definitely see those four at some point. Like they're made, so they're going to get released. I'm just not sure when. It depends. They're very sensitive if it's gore or sex. If it's other things, you fly right under the radar. If you put, you know, naked breasts in a video and someone rubbing them, but you say it's educational about breastfeeding, they'll probably just let that go right through because I've seen it. Or if you're doing naked yoga, but it's instructional about how to do naked yoga, they generally let you slide. But if I show an exploding head effect, I'm in big trouble. So, so yeah. All right. Hang on, I got a text, guys. Oh shit, it's 9:40. All right. All right, I take a couple more and then I have to go. Only because my voice is going. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you backed me up on that, Kim. It definitely just feels like a dry run for Jaws. It's a really good movie on its own, and then when you think about it as like a dry run for Jaws, it makes it even cooler. It's one of those movies that I like wish more people had seen, because that's another one that's like it's old now, and so nobody sees it, and it's like Spielberg, young Spielberg, really finding his style. In the same way of like you saw Argento start to find his style in like Deep Red. You can see the same thing with Duel. Spielberg is kind of figuring out the language of his movies and things like that. And then so much of it is literally, he would not have made Jaws would not be the film it is if he hadn't made Duel. I firmly believe that like the lessons he learned from making Duel are what got him through Jaws, because Jaws was such a disaster to make. So yeah. Near Dark I'd love to do, but it's a copyright claim. But we, you know, we can fight it out. But again, I'd rather try to avoid that as much as possible. But I love Near Dark. Lance fan. I'm behind, so everybody's here doing my shtick, and I didn't even see it. Lance is awesome. I love Lance Henriksen to death, man. Guy, I never got to meet him. I really wish I had. I would love to spend time just chatting with him, because he's been in so much shit. And he, you know, he's just got stories for days. And like all my you know, all the celebrities and press junkets I went on earlier in my career, you know, most celebrities are really friggin' boring when you get down to it. And but Lance is one of those guys. I'm sure he's just endlessly fascinating to talk to, because he's been in everything and he knows everybody, and he's just such a he's such a great actor, which they don't make actors like that anymore. They don't make those character actors with that face and that voice and that, you know, that just guy who's like could be a star, but he doesn't need to be. He can carry a movie from a supporting role. And they just don't make movie stars like that anymore. And then he's like a really nice guy too, because everybody I know who's met him has nothing but glowing things to say about him. So I would love to spend time with him. Hey, deep fried hamsters, greetings from Florida, and thank you. Oh god, a lot of them. Irreversible, Martyrs, Cemetery Man. I mean, if we're not talking horror movies, Ikiru, Takeshi Kitano's Fireworks, Mike Lee's Naked, Wong Kar-wai's Fallen Angels. Like I still think about those movies all the time. They will always be with me. We did that one. Didn't you see it? Oh, we did that one too. I did that one not too long ago. Yes, they are. A little bit. I don't think they're scary. They are unknown. Like, I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're into. I don't know why they come back exactly. I don't know what they want. And like you can't know. Like, I mean, even if they all told me, it'd be so different. I couldn't do it all anyway. But yeah, it'd be nice to know though. All right. Oh, that one we already did. I'm sorry. I'm like way back here. Did I miss one? Yeah. There we go. Thanks for bringing back old memories of awful movies I used to love, sort of, and mentioning new old ones to goof on. I'm happy to do it, Synth. This is my whole cause in life is to come out and get people interested in weird movies. And to go like maybe this movie sucks, but there's still something fun about it or cool or redeeming, right? So yeah, that's always my goal. Like if I make a few bucks doing it, it's great because I like to eat, but at the end of the day, it's always been about just spreading the love. Because you're never going to get rich talking about the stuff I talk about. There's not like a big market for guys, talking about weird 70s Euro horror. Guys, I am gonna wrap up here. I'm a little stuffy and my throat is starting to go, so that's usually my sign to wrap it up. Thank you all as always for coming to hang out with me. I appreciate it, and I said I appreciate it a million times tonight, but it's because I do. uh, you do these things and you get on YouTube and you put yourself out there and you just never know like what's gonna happen and if people are going to like what you do or if they're going to respond to it or if they're going to hate your guts or any of that. And so I'm incredibly grateful as always that so many people love the show and like what I do and pay attention to it and support it and all of that. Like this is my dream gig. And so yeah, I'm just super, super happy that people dig it. And as long as you guys keep digging it, I'll keep doing it, or until YouTube kicks me off anyway. But but then we'll just go to Twitch. But thank you all, and I hope you have a good night. And I will see you Wednesday for a little bit of The Last Shark, which I think you guys are gonna dig. At least I hope so. All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we'll get some Linnea Quigley establishing shots next week. Not next week, but soon. But thanks again and have a good night. All right. Take care.